The Fan, an Odyssey station.
Browning, looking, pressured, throws it deep, and the ball is caught by T. Higgins at the 1-yard line. And it's actually called a touchdown. Somehow Higgins got it across the line.
This is Dirt and Sprague.
Fields, chased by Garrett, flushed, looking, sets up, throwing deep. Hail Mary, end zone, deflected, tipped, and intercepted. Almost caught, and then a deflection into the hands of DeAnthony Bell.
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
Cook again, wide on. James Cook through everyone, and he scores again.
I don't care if they're the 4 seed, the 7 seed. I don't think it matters. I don't know anybody in the AFC that feels good coming here.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan. Happy Monday, everybody.
What is happening?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Ho, ho, ho. Mistletoe.
Ho, ho.
You guys all ready? We did a lot of Christmas shopping on Friday. We're getting close. I just got to get a few more things for the wife. That's all I got left on the list this week.
We got stuff done on Saturday. I made a grave rookie mistake. I can't believe I did it.
Uh-oh.
I ended up bringing my entire family, and by entire, I mean like my wife, my daughters, and then her sisters and families.
Everybody.
I wanted to go to a mall to get some shopping done. We were in Beaverton, and we went to Washington Square Mall, and that's maybe the biggest mistake you could possibly make. It took me 15 minutes to find a parking spot.
Yeah.
I got cut off. I got spots stolen. I got elbowed. I don't even suffer from massive anxiety when you're around big groups of people.
Yeah.
I got pretty close to it Saturday. It was like shoulder to shoulder in every store you went in.
That's like one of the few malls that still is pretty full and people go to on a regular basis.
Clackamas and Washington Square are easily the two busiest malls, and Washington Square might be blowing Clackamas out of the water. Do not go to that mall right now. It is insane.
Stay away. I was at the town center on Friday. It was bad, but not that bad. It was normal holiday traffic of like a lot of people, but no fighting for parking spots. You know my stance on parking. I parked in the back. I'm not complaining.
I was
going all the way.
I was
to the
way
rear.
far away. I didn't even try to get a close spot. I'm like, I'm not going to win this battle. This is a different animal than I'm used to.
Yeah, this time of year, I'm reminded how much I hate shopping.
Yes.
Like there's not many things I would rather not do, if that makes any sense, than go shopping.
There was a 24-person line outside of the Lego store. Security had to walk in one by one as a person left the store because they had reached capacity.
Yeah.
Do you know how much you have to love your significant other or kid or whoever?
You gotta love them a lot.
To stand in that Lego line and wait?
My favorite shopping moment was we have to get gifts on the wife's side for all of the cousins. So I buy for her male cousins, and she buys for her male cousins' significant others.
Oh, can we talk about this?
Sure, I would be. I would happily
talk about this.
I would happily talk about that. But my favorite moment was she has a cousin who is getting married. Lovely gal. I've only met her once, but she's lovely, and they're engaged. So she's now a part of the family gift giving experience. And so she had asked for like candles and body wash. It's something small. It's not a big gift, just something small.
Sure.
She asked for candles and body wash. And we walked into Bed Bath & Beyond, and she turned to me and asked, what kind of candles and body wash do you think she would like? And I said, I've met this person one time in my life. Do you think I have any clue what kind of scent she's interested in?
What does she smell like to you?
It's like I sat like 8 feet away from her. I don't even know what she smells like. And I was like, can I just go pick out a random candle, please? And can we make this trip done in like 30 seconds? I then picked out a candle. She made me put the candle back and picked out another candle.
Really?
And I said, why? What that candle was no good. That one doesn't count. We got to get this. You don't even know what smells she likes.
Okay, can we talk about this?
Sure, fire away.
It's funny, Sprague and I both had the same thing. It's like,
Why are you buying gifts for your wife's cousins?
I just do what I'm told, Bob.
But like, where's the line where we're not
Do what I'm
buying?
told.
Yeah, we're not buying gifts. Like, we don't buy any gifts for my wife's cousins.
Yeah.
And the only reason we buy gifts for my cousins on my stepdad's side is because we do like a jokey $15 white elephant.
Yeah.
We all kind of buy what we want, and we somehow end up with our own gifts.
You just bring your own thing to the party.
I mean, it's a jokey thing that we
Yeah.
do. It's not like a serious gift. Not that candles or whatever are that serious.
No.
You said we buy gifts for my wife's cousins. How many cousins are we talking? And like, you just buy gifts for everybody in your family?
So it's all her family, and she has 2 male cousins that I buy gifts for. So my list isn't too big. She has a bigger list than I do because she has 2 female cousins, and the 2 male cousins now have significant others. So she's up to 4 gifts that she has to buy.
You don't spend any of your money on those gifts?
No, hell no. God, no. That's
You guys have separate bank accounts?
we're all under the same bundle, but they are separate accounts. Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. We're all on point, so
Yeah.
we can see each other's accounts, but we have they go to different places. So we're under the same umbrella with
great.
different households.
That's the way to do
I mean,
it.
I'm not buying gifts for her female cousins. This is not my family. This is her family. This is her thing. She's got to do that.
Okay.
She had a cousin that floated the idea through text this maybe a month and a half ago, like, hey, what do we think about putting the kibosh on this year? It just immediately shot down. I jumped into support.
Scrooge,
I was like, no, it sounds great to me. Let's just hang out. I'll bring a
Yeah.
beer, whatever we want.
Sure.
We'll smoke some meats. We'll do that for Christmas. That
Smoke some
sounds
weed,
That
eat
sounds
some
great,
meats,
right? And no, immediately shot down by the other cousins. I said, okay. So I went shopping for them
Did
and got
she
them gifts.
grow up with these cousins?
Yes.
Like they're
Like super
more
Every
like-
Christmas they get to every Christmas.
Okay.
They're always in the same house every Christmas every year. So they bought gifts for everybody.
I can appreciate the love and the care. It's just I'm thinking about this in my life, and if my wife randomly was like, my cousins have to have a gift, I'd be like, well, do they?
Are we sure?
Are they grown up, or do you have like really young cousins somehow?
Well, I've just reached that point in life where with gifts, like how many times does somebody get you something and you don't use it, wear it, care? Like it's hard to buy gifts for people that you don't
Gifts in general, I
know a lot about.
I'm going to throw this at you, okay? Because I went through it this weekend. I still have to go through it today after the show. I have to finish a gift,
I got to finish. Fortunately, I'm going somewhere where I can, find some.
You got gifts.
Just bring everybody something back from Hawaii.
Just
You're
bring
good
a
to go.
shirt or something, and you're
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
I have a gift for my wife, but then she countered that she did, and that she was kind of excited, and now I'm like reconsidering my gift.
Uh-oh, she went bigger than you.
She went either more sentimental or bigger. I can't tell, but she's excited, and now that's like shot my confidence in
Yeah,
it.
we put the kibosh on our gifts.
I did that this year too with the wife. I said we got a
see,
kid coming. I'm not.
We say that every year, and then we end up getting one gift for each other that like, oh, that's a cool gift.
Yeah.
I've noticed 2 things in society as a gift giver of, Chex Watch, like 26 years now. I've noticed that it's incredibly more difficult today with more access and more stuff to buy gifts for people than it's ever been.
Without a doubt.
And you might be
Yeah.
thinking that's a stupid take. I know you don't and you don't, but
No,
bear
I
with
do.
me here. You know what genre's been completely eliminated from gift giving, and we haven't even put it into our thought until we try to buy it? Music.
Yes.
When am I buying a CD, an album? Music is kind of an irrelevant gift. Everybody pays for a streaming platform. I can't provide you music that you don't have access to. So that's off the list. It's not even an option anymore.
And if you want to do live music, like getting concert tickets is obscene.
Good luck with that.
Crazy expensive.
The fees are going to be $180.
Plus the concert, you have to buy tickets like 9 months ahead of when the actual concert is. So who knows if that date's going to work for them when it rolls around.
Hey, we had a vacate. We're going to Europe. Oh, cool. I'm glad I bought these Swiftie tickets for you.
There you go. $500 down the drain.
And here's the second part. I've experienced this with my wife. Somebody needs to make a spoof parody song on this topic because it's a really funny
There's
topic.
Weird Al when you need him.
You can't buy your wife really a gift. They buy everything they want and need all year.
Yes.
Amazon boxes, Old Navy, Target. Every day of my life, there's been a package of some sort. What am I left to buy?
Nothing.
There's nothing. And if I do buy it, it's going to be the wrong thing. Buying people things is nearly impossible. Everybody buys their own stuff on Amazon. Music's out of the genre.
Yeah.
Like it feels impossible. The weight is enormous.
Yes, it is. I feel like half the clothes that I've bought in the wife and half the clothes that she has bought me go unworn. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Why are we throwing money, just flushing money down a toilet to buy me an extra gift of something that you're not sure that I'm actually going to like, and then I don't end up wearing?
Yep.
And I give her a hard time all the time. I'm like, hey, yeah, that sweatshirt, never seen you wear it.
Oh,
That was a Christmas gift 2 years ago.
Dirt. We take Christmas photos in like last year was a Christmas colored flannel, and this year, God bless you should see this shirt. This shirt I have to wear for the photo is so ugly. Oh, it's so awful. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here's the shirt you wear. It's like,
And you open it up and you're like, oh, hey.
awesome.
I
Socks.
like it. See, now socks I'm okay with.
Well, no,
Because I don't ever buy myself. That's like the one thing that I need that I don't ever actually buy. Like you'll get holes in your socks and you keep wearing them. That's like the one socks and underwear I actually genuinely in my old age look forward to getting now at Christmas. It used to be the things as a kid you would throw immediately over your shoulder. Like I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But I don't buy myself underwear and I don't buy myself socks. I saw a funny meme the other day that was like, hold on guys, 3 more days. And it was a sock with a giant hole in the bottom. We're almost there, man. Hold out. It'll be on Wednesday.
It's disgusting to say. I was going to the bathroom the other day. And I, dropped trow, and I go to sit down, and man,
Time for a new pair.
it looked like something ate the bottom of my underwear, and I'm like, how does this happen?
You're almost there.
They're not even like that skin tight. What am I? I'm not rubbing on the bottom of a chair. How does a hole form like that?
I think you're grinding too much.
I don't
That's
know
your
what I'm
problem.
doing.
Too much grinding at the Sprague household.
I just looked at it and went, well, this sums up my situation.
See, I got the ham hocks, and so my thighs rub together. And when I get holes in my underwear, it's usually in my boxer briefs. It's along the leg part of it, and then it's not good because then they'll get 2 holes on each side, and now I'm back to chafing. Now I
Yeah.
got skin on skin contact.
It's the worst.
No, it's not good for anybody.
I just, and somehow my wife every year gets me something that I'm like, okay, this is a good gift. My birthday, I had no idea what she was getting. She got me a cast iron Dutch oven. I'm like, yes,
That's a good gift.
it's a great gift. Can't wait to cook.
I just wish we could normalize giving people cash for Christmas. Like instead of buying me, if there's like a $50 limit and you want to go buy me something, it's probably good as something that I don't want. Just give me
Sure.
$50.
Nope.
A
That's what,
crisp 50.
Papa Swag went that route many years
Straight
ago.
cash, homie.
Yep.
The Randy Moss.
That's all I need.
So he'll get it a little
Yes, what
tiny
do I need in life?
stocking,
Cash.
put a little candy cane, some chocolates in there. There you go.
How many people, I'll say this and then we'll get going. How many people our age or older in our lives, cousins, friends, siblings, whatever, how many people would get right away what the gift is if you wrapped the money and you put it in a box and you wrapped it in Randy Moss gift wrapping? How many people would see that and think, straight cash, homie? How many people would pick that up? Because that would be my first thought if I saw Randy Moss gift wrap, would be like, cash, all right.
Now I kind of hope there is a Randy Moss wrapping paper out there.
I think you can custom make wrapping paper
with
now.
him pulling his pants down at Lambeau Field. That has to be the wrapping paper, right?
That is all-time
Just
wrapping
over
paper.
and over again. That picture 20,000 times.
I was thinking about this because my wife doesn't like to get new wrapping paper. She's like, it's incredibly wasteful. As you'll see today, I wrapped your guys' gifts in newspaper.
That's old school. I appreciate that. Comics, Sunday comic. Oh wait, there aren't Sunday comics anymore.
There aren't. It's the Happy Valley newspaper Times that comes out like once a month.
Shout out to the Happy Valley Times.
They're free at the Clackamas Library.
There you go.
But we don't do wrapping paper, but I've thought about getting wrapping paper for different people.
Yeah.
Like my brother-in-law loves Joe Rogan. So it'd be funny to just get Joe Rogan gift wrapping paper.
So UFC
His
wrapping
face.
paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, somebody said my wife asked for what I want for Christmas. I tell her exactly, like the exact model of what I want. She gets the cheap version of said thing, and I never touch it. Boom, it's Christmas again.
The Amazon made in China cheap version of what you wanted. Everybody knows it. It's the worst.
It's like when you ask for a jersey as a kid and you end up with one of those like Chinese knockoffs.
Oh.
Like I think there's a letter misspelled on the last name. There's a weird stitch missing here. This is not the authentic jersey.
My favorite one all time is the fake Jordan stuff because the logo will have a fat ass. It's got a big gut and like a real fat ass, and you don't notice it right away.
Jordan.
Now we're talking.
Sumo Jordan flying like this. Like,
I believe I can fly.
Get a gut and a butt. Everybody's all mad at LeBron for his stances on China, and we're ordering this crap every day from Amazon. Like, oh man, we're so patriotic.
That's right. I'm going to take a stance.
Well, let's get it going. We got a good show today. There's a lot to talk about, including we have to unveil the gifts before we get off the air today. Your guys' gifts. Oh.
Yeah, you did it again this year, and I'm upset with you.
I did do it again
I
this
told you
year.
my philosophy on gifts. We just went over it in the segment.
I only buy gifts for people who are special in my life.
And you do this.
What?
Well, like I said,
You better bring something back from Hawaii, Swag.
There's
already
nothing from Hawaii you can get me. Literally nothing. I was in Hawaii 2 years
What if
ago.
he brings you back some Hawaiian weed?
You can't do that.
Why not?
I don't think you're supposed to fly.
He's on the pilot's charter. He's good.
He is a pilot
Yeah,
charter.
exactly.
He is the pilot.
He's chartering back. He's fine.
It'd be awesome if you were flying the plane and calling the
He's
games.
the captain now,
He
and
is
he's
the
bringing
captain.
a pound of weed back.
I'm excited about the gift giving this year. I think you guys will enjoy your gifts.
okay.
I've become a thrifty, not a swifty, this year, and I'm excited to unveil that for you.
Very excited.
So we'll get to that today. A lot of sports, a lot of meandering through. And we got Ken Barkley today. Ken Barkley's going to hop on at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
His normal time at 8 o'clock, except it's a Monday this week instead of a Thursday. So let's get it going. Dirt and Spray. Good to be with you on this Monday on The Fan.
It's the Fan.
I wish that I could fly into the sky.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, Dirk, can you help me with something?
What do you need, Bob?
I checked my Twitter and Instagram this morning, and I didn't get tagged in a tweet or a post by Joe Fisher, noted Cowboy diehard, this week. Last week they won their Philly game at home.
They did.
Thanks
They
to
did.
3 random fumbles.
Yes.
And I got tagged with an old tweet that I had put to Joe in March. And in March, I had basically said, Dak's numbers are very similar to Derek Carr's. Look it up. And Dak's had a great year. And Joe brought that back last week. I didn't get tagged in anything this week, and I haven't seen anything from Joe Fisher
Still
yet.
looking.
By the
Still
way,
waiting.
who threw for
love
240 yards with 7.9 yard average and 3 tuds, no picks? Was that? Oh, that wasn't Dak. That was Derek Carr.
that was Derek Carr.
Who threw for like 130 yards a pick and like 3.9 yards per average? Oh, that's right. It was
Was that
Dak
number
Prescott
4?
in
Yeah, number
Buffalo
4.
in rain when he's outside of his little home.
Exactly.
Did you get tagged in anything by Joe
I
Fisher?
didn't. I did enjoy very much so that Joe Fisher yesterday was on his rant about, so one game defines a season. And that's literally the point that everybody brought up last week of congratulations on winning your first relevant game in who knows how long. Congrats on beating the first legitimate opponent you have all season. Seattle up until that point was their best win, and they gave up like 35
That was dicey.
to a
should've
Seahawks
lost that
offense
game.
that could not score against hardly anybody in the weeks leading up to that game. But I digress. You finally won a meaningful game. And how did you choose to spend your week after your first meaningful win? Instead of saying, you know what? Let's be level-headed here. We're going on the road to Buffalo next week. I think they're then in Miami this week, I believe.
Miami.
So you go to Buffalo to Miami, back-to-back weeks. It's going to be let's take a deep breath. It was a good win, but there's no need to cash receipts after the first relevant win of the season.
One win at home, and we cashed receipts.
1 week later, it's,
Record time.
1 week doesn't tell the story of the season. Look, I feel bad for
Does in
Joe.
the playoffs.
He's had a rough fandom here 1 week over the last couple of months. He's had a rough go in his fandoms.
Has he? His quarterback was the leading MVP vote getter going into
the
that
Cowboys
game.
are the Cowboys. We know who the Cowboys are. They're fraudulent.
Yes.
They always have been. They always will be. They're
Wanna
still
know why
fraudulent.
I left them after 40 years. There you go.
Nothing has ever changed.
That's
It's
it.
the same Cowboy team
Right
every
there.
year. This one's just a little bit different because they peaked late. I feel like they usually peak early, and we do this in like
Don't tell me it's
Week
different
8.
when it's not.
it's like, ooh, the Cowboys could win the Super Bowl. And it's like, no, they can't. And then we do it again every year, different time of year. But he had the O's were relevant for the first time in a long time, and then they didn't win a playoff game.
They got braved. They got punished for being so good.
They didn't even win a game.
No, they
not even one win. I had asked him one day walking into the office if the O's not winning a game in the playoffs, does that mean they actually made the playoffs? And he did not respond to me and kept walking to his desk.
You hit him at the worst day to do that.
His Ducks fell short. My Ducks fell short. So I sympathize with him there.
Yeah.
And now his Cowboys are once again fraudulent.
Are the men's Pitt Panther team, are they good? Because that's his college basketball team for some reason.
I don't know.
That was the funniest result. One of the funniest results of the NFL season. That was I loved watching every second of that game yesterday.
That was pretty bad. By the way, easy with the making fun. You chose to leave the Cowboys for the worst version in the AFC.
This is true.
I don't know what you're gloating about today. Your team is a dumpster fire.
40 million
Well,
over the cap.
hopefully-
They got to cut half their defense.
Yeah.
At least Dallas is going to the dance. Your team's like, we suck.
Yeah, they're at least winning 10 games every year. I'll give them credit for that.
It'll force them to, and burn the
To
house
change
down
who they've been their
and
entire
rebuild it.
existence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is finally the time Dean Spanos is going to figure it out and be smart and make good decisions.
There was a lot of tasty NFL morsels. I'm kind of with you, and it's not even fair to all the Dallas Cowboy fans out there that we're kind of throwing the proverbial them because of just Joe Fisher.
I mean, this was every Cowboy fan last week. Let's be honest. Every Cowboy fan I know in my life was high-stepping like Dion last week on
can't
social
contain
media.
themselves.
They can't because they haven't been relevant in a long time at a
Just
real
following-
level.
They're
At a
following
real
the
level.
leadership right there.
They're
Jerry
relevant.
Jones going on radio. Oh, we're Super Bowl caliber. No, you're not.
Well,
No, you're not.
they're relevant, but they're not contenders.
Yeah, relevant's not the right word. The
You know?
Cowboys are always relevant, but they're not a serious threat. And nobody takes him as such.
Jared, that was the game of the weekend, and they were down 31-3. They got a garbage-ass touchdown to get to 10.
Yeah,
that touchdown shouldn't count.
No.
They should have lost, and Josh Allen completed 7
for
passes.
15.
You know what we call that? We call that a Jimmy G.
That was
Just got to run the living hell out of you, and quarterback, you don't do anything but hand the ball off or run if you need to.
Imagine telling somebody on Friday, I gambled on this game pretty heavily because I think the Cowboys are frauds and I don't trust them on the road, and I think Buffalo's playing good football. That's why I gambled heavily on this game. If after I picked it and Sprague the line, you would have told me that Josh Allen's going to complete 7 passes, I would have screamed.
Really?
Scream like there's no chance they win the game. No. One of the main reasons I picked him to win the game is because Josh Allen's starting to play good football. He's taking over games. He's using his legs, which I know he did again yesterday. But 7 of 15 for 94 yards. They ran the ball for nearly 300 yards on Dallas. 266 as a team.
He said he felt like he did a group project, but no work, and he got an A.
He deserves that because he's had a lot of games where he's carried the entire thing week in and week out.
You want to have your mind blown? So Dallas loses on the road in sub 50-degree temperatures with rain, and it's like, hey, that's kind of playoff. I said this to Joe. I said, Joe, that was a really good win. Because we talked about it, and I said, dude, post anything. I love content. I said, Joe, that was a really good win. I get why people are jacked. I don't mean to poo-poo it, but like I thought Buffalo was a bigger game for them because they haven't conquered that beast. And they looked so inept in those conditions.
Yes,
they look like a whole team of Jared Goff playing outside of the comfort of a dome or warm weather. But the thing about Buffalo that's interesting, they really, and I think they could win out here, they really are sitting in a spot where if they don't win the division, they miss the playoffs. Go look at I looked at the schedules yesterday.
Yeah, tiebreakers are not
Colts,
in their favor.
No, none of the tiebreakers are in their favor. You know, the biggest game is the last game of the regular season. Cincinnati plays Cleveland. But if Cleveland secures the 5 seed, they may not need to care about that game. And if Cincinnati wins out, they win it over Buffalo. If Indy wins out, they win it over Buffalo. Buffalo might be the team you'd want to gamble on to win the AFC, and they might not make the playoffs. Like the schedule does not line up for them with Cincinnati, Indy, and Cleveland.
Where's the committee when you need them? Just vote somebody out and vote Buffalo in.
Who would we vote out?
Come on.
Cleveland, Cincinnati, or Indy? If you could really?
Probably the Colts.
I think the Colts, yeah.
The Colts played a really good game Saturday.
Yeah, what happened the week before?
I forgot already.
They lost. I gambled on them. Who the hell did they lose to?
See, none of us remember this.
Hold on,
we're so into it.
They lost. They got smoked by Cincinnati. They lost by 20 in Cincinnati.
Well, that was a letdown spot.
That was a letdown
That's what
spot,
they call it in Vegas.
So in Cincinnati, our NFL committee believes in head-to-heads here. So I'm going to give Cincinnati the nod for the head-to-head win that they have just 2 weeks ago over Indy.
You're really going to poo-poo Steichen and Minshew and what they've done?
I mean, I would poo-poo all of them. I don't think any of them can make real runs, and I would put Buffalo in the playoffs over all of them. If I'm picking Buffalo against Cincinnati head-to-head right now, who am I taking? Buffalo. Buffalo or Indy? Buffalo or Cleveland? Buffalo. They have a starting quarterback. The other teams don't. Give me Buffalo.
By the way, mighty ballsy of old Jake Browning to be down 17-3 for a long time against a bad Viking team.
He missed a wide open touchdown down the field, too.
And then when they finally have the comeback and they win, he says, you shouldn't have effing cut me. That's an interesting time to be gloating, man. In that game, I don't know about that one.
Against, who is Nick Mullins?
Nick Mullins and the Vikings.
Mighty win against Nick Mullins and the Vikings. That was actually an entertaining game. I'll give it credit for that.
Saturday was good.
Saturday was a good day of football.
Except the Broncos.
The Broncos did not show up.
You know what? I'm going to carry this over. A little more NFL. We'll get to Chip Kelly, his comments. We'll get to the local taste at some point today. It's going to be, we got a lot to get to. We're back with more NFL talk next on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Enjoy some Kahlua pig, terry chicken, even an island cocktail at Burnside Woodstock, or order online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, 4 playoff spots in the NFL were clinched on Sunday. The 49ers, NFC West champions for a second straight season. They blow out the Cardinals 45-29. Brock Purdy, 4 touchdown passes. passes. Christian McCaffrey, a pair of scores. San Francisco currently holds the top seed in the NFC. The Cowboys' Jekyll and Hyde routine continued with another road no-show. They get housed in Buffalo 31-10. Bills running all over the vaunted Dallas D. James Cook, 179 yards. He had 2 scores. But Dallas and Philly did clinch playoff spots due to losses earlier in the day. The Ravens are the first AFC team into the tournament, a 23-7 win in Jacksonville. The Jags could not finish drives. They missed 2 field goals. They fumbled, and some poor clock management in the first half. Any chance the Seahawks hold for backing into the playoffs may ride on upsetting the Eagles tonight in Seattle. Geno Smith questionable with his troublesome groin. Philly quarterback Jalen Hurts has been battling an illness all week. Kickoff right here on the Fan, 5:15 tonight. Pre-game coverage starts at 3 following Danny and Dusty. Eagles 3-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. After getting shut out in the first half, Anthony Simons dropped 24 in the second half, leading a Blazers rally against the Warriors that came up just short. They fall 118-114. Klay Thompson turned back the clock, 28 points, including 5 threes. Portland will host Phoenix Tuesday night. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription. This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, I put a poll question up. If we made up a playoff committee for the NFL, which one of these three teams would you Florida State the hell out of the playoffs in order for the Bama Bills to get in there? Indy, Cleveland, and Cincinnati.
I think there's a good one on the NFC side, too. Now, there's not necessarily a Buffalo that's out of the playoffs.
The NFC side dirt
the
is
NFC
awful.
South being allowed to host a playoff game.
Nope.
What are we doing here?
I will not let you.
New Orleans is going to win that division. You know that, right?
Tampa is.
Okay.
I will not let you poo-poo Tampa Bay. They're a nice little team.
What if New Orleans wins the division?
Get the hell out of here with that.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
I
Kick
don't
him
wanna
out.
See that?
Boot him out. You don't want Derek Carr hosting a playoff game? His eyeliner out there. Everybody's been making fun of him all year. Here comes Derek Carr, baby.
Anybody more depressed than Tommy DeVito's agent who clearly bought a brand new suit and Jordans just to be seen on television, and then his client gets absolutely pummeled?
Well, the report was his jacket was the Italian Sports Hall of Fame jacket.
Oh,
that
is
he
that what that
received.
was?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I think he bought a pair of green pants to go with it. Because why would, if you get gifted a green jacket, you need green pants?
Well, why did you choose those Jordans? Those didn't go with the outfit. That was a terrible outfit.
I don't know. I didn't see the shoes. I just know that I think I read a tweet that said the jacket was his Italian Hall of Fame jacket.
It's crazy to think, but it really sometimes boils down to this. Do you know we're a Darnell Mooney Hail Mary catch away? That may or may not have decided the fate of Justin Fields in Chicago. You thought about that? That was the first thing that went through my head. I saw him drop that pass. I said what everybody else said. How did you drop that? And then I thought, if he catches it, does the Bears front office talk themselves into saying, I don't know, man, Fields won in Cleveland.
Hey.
And did that drop at the same time get them to go, well, we're 5-9 now, so we're terrible. Goodbye, Justin.
I mean, if they win that game, they're still, I mean, I don't know if they mathematically are anymore, but they're not going to make the playoffs. They win that game at 6-8, and they were up 17-7. They led basically the entire game, and I still haven't figured out how Mooney didn't catch that ball in the end zone. He's laying on the ground, it falls into his gut. Ironically, win or lose, I did have that thought watching the game yesterday, that I'm reaffirmed in my take that you trade the number 1 overall pick and you keep Justin Fields.
That game made you reaffirm that.
I mean, not necessarily like over the top, but he made some awesome plays.
He also made some very bad throws.
Look, hey, come on. He's young. It's early in his career. Let's focus on the positive here. The one where he escaped.
Isn't this year 3?
Scrambled out to his left, threw a touchdown pass, the corner of the end zone. It's a great throw. He's got everything you need, man.
Yeah.
Just surround him with better pieces, and you're going to be fine in Chicago.
I love that you say it reaffirmed, and as you talk about it, I can kind of feel this shaky vibe where you're not sure if you'd really want Justin Fields.
All in on Justin Fields.
And the minute you see Caleb Williams throw a 50-yard dart on the run, you'd be like, damn it.
He's going to have some of those stupid combine throws against no defense. Everybody's going to say, oh, my God, we got to draft this guy.
But we've seen him play, so we don't need to be like, oh, Zach Wilson in shorts.
I mean, are we going to act like Justin Fields wasn't good in college, though? He was really good in college, just like Caleb Williams was. It's an unknown commodity.
What happened in Miami yesterday?
The Jets are not a good football team.
I teased them to 14.5, thinking lock of the teaser bet. It was the worst thing I teased.
Yeah, I teased him up to 14.5. Nope.
30-0?
The funniest thing was, too, the injury reporting was fantastic.
The dehydration, the concussion.
After going 4 of 11 for 26 yards, he's dehydrated. He needs to go get an IV. Then he's out with a head injury, but it's not a concussion. He's out with a head injury, and then he's out with a concussion. I love the sequence of events there.
I told my gambling show producer, he's a diehard Jets fan, and I said, do you know why West Coast people get really tired of listening to the East Coast rhetoric every week? Oh, the Jets and Giants won a game. Let's talk about them all week. And then they go out and get stomped by 30 against a depleted, an absolutely annihilated Miami team.
No Tyreek Hill.
No Tyreek Hill. Multiple offensive linemen. Missing defensive guys. Jalen Waddle knocked out of the game and then came back. And they lost 30 to mother bleeping nothing.
He had 0 passing yards for like 60% of that game.
They ran a fake punt on their second possession in the most obvious fake punt spot you could possibly call. Get out of here. Get off. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers. I dare him to come back. I double dog dare him.
Well, see, here's
to come back against that offensive line.
This would have been it. He's healthy enough now.
Yeah, do it.
If they only would have won, he would have played this week.
He's
we
a
all
coward.
know that.
He's an absolute
If they
coward.
were still in the mix, he's in that game. He's leading them to a Super Bowl. But unfortunately for him, the team's been eliminated from the playoffs.
Ah, darn, I really wanted to come back.
It's not quite worth the risk, but if they were, he would have been in there. He would have been slinging tutties left and right.
I gambled on the Broncos. That was a grave mistake.
Are the Lions good again?
No.
No. Broncos bad?
Well, Denver had some stuff that I was nervous about, and it reared its ugly head. One of them was if you had really examined their 5 out of last 6 win streak thing.
Yeah.
And I read about this in Ben Solak's article, and I still took them. They had benefited more than any other team on turnover luck.
Yes.
So their turnovers, when they had created them, had put them in plus field percentage. And so their offense had short amounts of field to gain, either get a field goal or a tutty, and they capitalized. And so they win these games. Yeah. And I finally reached a point, Dirt. I've reached it. Sean Payton absolutely undressed him on national television on the sideline.
Yes, he did. How do you not score a touchdown from the 1-inch yard line?
Every time my team played Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, I always gave Russell Wilson a I'm nervous to play you vibe. I watched that game Saturday from start to finish. I'm done. Mid. He's not good. His numbers, I think, have overinflated what his season has felt like to me watching his games. Up until about week 7, he was averaging 6 points and a half. Like, I know people point to the numbers. I think the numbers are grossly misleading what he's been this year.
I would agree with you. I think the main reason they were winning games was because they were running the football and they were playing defense, and they were winning games at the line of scrimmage, and that did not happen on Sunday. This is what I love most about the NFL, though, is that every single team, for the most part, you go through some sort of roller coaster of opinion. Like, I look in the NFC North right now. Detroit the last couple of weeks has been awful. Awful. They were terrible on Thanksgiving to Green Bay. They should have lost a home game to the Bears. They lost a road game to the Bears. Like, they were playing bad football, and we've just kind of buried them. And then they go into Saturday night, they blow out Denver, and you're like, man, did they find something? They're going to host a playoff game. They're probably going to win the division. Mm-hmm. Is Detroit back if they get to play at home in the playoffs? Look at the team that I just mentioned, too, in Green Bay. Green Bay 2 weeks ago was like Jordan Love, talk of the NFL. They could win the division. Here come the Packers, baby. And then they go and lose to Danny DeVito and allow a perfect passer rating to Baker Mayfield at home, and we're all out on them now. 2 weeks later, they're all bums.
Watch them win this weekend.
They're going to win this weekend. Now they're back. Could they make a noise in the playoffs? I don't know. This is what I love about the NFL is you just go up and down with every team basically the entire season.
You're 100% right, and I said this yesterday. Like my team is right now sitting in a driver's seat.
Yes.
And everybody wants to pick them. Oh, are you taking the Niners? You're taking the field. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys. But as much as I'll laugh about them losing that game, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they can't do it.
I will. Why not? Screw the Cowboys.
I'll tell you why not.
They can't run the ball. They can't stop the run.
I'll tell you why not. I watched my baseball team be crowned the exact same thing all year.
Yeah, baseball's fluky.
Football's not.
Nah, not fluky.
Football's not fluky.
Not at all.
Okay.
Good teams win.
All right.
That's how it works.
You give me the take. You put out the tape there where you get the Dallas stands no chance. I'm not doing it, man, because one injury, one stupid tip of a ball, everything changes. And it's ridiculous how stupid on that sport all of us are, and yet we watch it every week religiously.
Yeah.
I don't watch anything else more than I watch that sport.
I love that our takes are now flipped from the end of college football. When you in week 8 did this to my college team. Oh, this is the year, man. This is the best Oregon's ever been. They're going to win a national championship this year.
I did not say
And
that.
I was over here saying, hold on, buddy. I've been through a lot of these, okay? Stupid things happen, like you lose a game you're not supposed to. I've watched too many Oregon Ducks seasons fall apart. I know what is coming. There's a speed bump at some point, and now I'm doing it to your NFL team, and you're over there acting as if the 49ers are going to get beat by Dallas at home in the playoffs. Stop it.
I'm mentally prepared.
Stop it.
Mentally prepared
Not
for all
going to
of
happen.
it.
Over my dead body.
Over your... Okay,
I'll get a
quote you on
Dallas
that.
Cowboys tattoo if that happens on my butt. Just kidding. I'm not actually going to do that.
A star would look delightful on your hiney.
An actual tar star?
An actual star. If you actually got that logo tattooed on your hole, it'd be the greatest story of all time.
Be like Terrell Owens. My poops are like Terrell Owens.
You'd have to store it.
Spiking the football at the star. Coming out.
You'd have to store and wait for them to lose a game and then go drop a deuce, and it would
Yes.
sum up the day for them.
Yes, every time I gamble on them or they eliminate me from a survivor pool.
By the way, I caught the Hawks game on the CW on Saturday.
Ah, did you? Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Hey, look at that.
The Chiefs.
The Spokane Chiefs.
The Montreal Canadiens Spokane Chiefs.
Yeah, they lost. They lost at home. Bad loss.
3-1.
Yeah, not a good game.
Yikes.
Not a good
Sweet
game.
jerseys, though.
Spokane's got good looking jerseys.
Yeah.
They do.
You were really good.
Hey, thank you.
I caught that.
Hey, thank you.
Your timing is very interesting. You don't have very much time to chime in on something.
Hockey's quick, man. You got to get in, you got to get out.
It reminded me of my LSI experience with Swag, where it's like, hey, here's your 3 seconds. Go.
It's a quick sport because you start into something and then you realize there's like an odd man rush the other way and you're like, all right, I got to shut up here because something's going to happen.
You're looking for an icing call to get your
Yes.
20 seconds in there.
Look, our fine friends at the CW need to make the do-re-mi, but as a viewer, I was like, a little too many commercials for a hockey game. Felt like a lot of, we'll be right back on the CW.
You needed more of me? You wanted more of me?
I wanted
out
more.
there?
What's your co-host name?
Nick Merrick. He's awesome.
You and Nick Merrick. I need more of that and less like Moesha commercials.
Well,
know?
I think it helped to have the Denver game be a blowout on Saturday night, but then the Blazers were playing at the same time, and so, it's hard. It's hard to cut through, but the WHL's there, baby.
We have a lot to get to in college football. I will get to those Portland Trail Blazers. A lot of people freaking out after this last game against the Warriors. Did you see the end of this, Swagger? The Blazer-Warrior game?
I did.
You did? Okay. Should he have called timeout? I want you to ponder on that one. We'll talk about that at the top of the hour. But I want to give an update on some college football news and notes next on The Fan.
The Fan. This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
I'll get some college football. We'll get to that in the second hour of the show. The Blazers coming up here.
This team blows.
I have found myself very happy for Baker Mayfield. I've always rooted for Baker Mayfield. I love the underdog chippiness. I did acknowledge at the end of Cleveland it did not go well. And then, he's randomly on the Rams team, and he gets this shot with Tampa. But I don't know if they'll be able to finish this thing out and win the division. But they're leading it right now. He had a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field. 4 touchdowns, no picks, 300 yards, 22 of 28. Unbelievable performance by him. And I think if one more win, it kind of feels like he's going to lock up comeback player of the year.
Yeah, he's got a really strong argument for it. I believe I read that no quarterback has ever done that in Lambeau, like opposing. Maybe Rodgers or Favre did it at home, but as an opposing quarterback coming in, nobody had ever done that before. What an awesome story, though. It really is. It's similar to kind of the Geno Smith one we went through last year with Seattle, and that's obviously fallen a little flat this year. And look, I don't know if Baker's going to be a long-term answer for them at quarterback, but he's having a good year, and he's having good performances in big games, and they got a real shot to make the playoffs. I'm not giving them any chance to probably go on a run because I just think the top half of the NFC, when you look at the top 3 or 4 teams, those are tough matchups for anybody, with San Francisco, Dallas, Philly, and now Detroit, who's found maybe their footing a little bit. But at the start of the year, Tampa was one of those throwaway teams. This is what we love about the NFL, that you think you know what team coming into the year. Tampa, it's Baker Mayfield, no chance. Here they are. Part of it's because their division sucks, but they got a chance to win it and go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not going to conclude that Baker's found this and he's going to become, it might be a Geno situation. I think Baker's play style lends itself to be more a little Geno Smith than it is Joe Burrow or whoever you want to fill in the blank as a franchise guy. But I'll tell you right now, if it's Dallas in round 1, everybody's going to pick Dallas, and I'd get it. I think Dallas wins that game. You can't look at Tampa, though, and see those weapons and say, oh, yeah, Mike Evans, who's just done nothing but get 1,000 receiving yards every year of his career, and he's at 8 touchdowns in his last 6 games. Or Godwin had 7 catches for 105 yards in the first half of that thing. Rashad White has been a great story for them. Can't. Kate Otten's been a monster for him out of UW.
Yep.
You can't look at Tampa and just, Baker could definitely throw a game away. He also has the weapons to just say, hey, go make that play, and those guys can do that. That's not, to me, the last year of Tom's career. That's not the same Tampa team. This Tampa team feels a little feistier. His former coach gets the win after a dropped Hail Mary in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's probably in the running here. I'd put Steichen, Stefanski, D'Amico. Man, what a win for the Texans yesterday on the road.
That was impressive, coming back and winning that game without your starting quarterback.
And without Davis, I really thought it was going to be Davis Mills, and it was Case Keenum. D'Amico, Kyle Shanahan, Stefanski, and Steichen, I would say probably the 4 leading vote getters in Coach of the Year stuff.
Yeah.
And Stefanski, who won this award in 2020, might win it again because he did something that no coach has done in the NFL since 1950. Do you know what that is?
I do not know the answer to that.
Ooh, it's a fun little trivia fact.
Not done since 1950.
Games with 4 different starting quarterbacks.
Had comeback wins with 4 different starting quarterbacks in a season. Joe Flacco was awful yesterday. He had 3 interceptions.
And then he threw in one of the prettiest passes I've seen all year.
The Amari Cooper touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
In between a tight window, perfectly on the money. He turned and ran up the sideline. That was one of the best throws I've seen all year.
I know we criticize those guys, that position.
Yeah.
You know what I've seen this year that I've just taken more note of as I get older? Did you see the quarterback camera view of that throw?
I did.
I've seen this a lot in these games, and I don't know about you, but when I watch it and I see it, I saw this with Penix in person too at Oregon State because my view was perfect for his quarterback perspective. It makes you respect it so much more.
And they can see and anticipate that stuff.
Yeah, because when you look at it from Flacco's view on that throw, there's a DB at the top of Cooper, and there's a DB just under right where he wants to throw that ball, and somehow he knows where he has to throw it. And like the angle of that is insane.
Yeah, it's that little hole in cover two that you get because the safety's over the top and the corner's underneath in the flat. And to make that throw, I love when you get angles like that, when you can see the anticipation of, all right, this guy's got to step on his defensive back or a safety can't get there, and I can fit it into this window. And then they go to make the throw. The Coach of the Year thing is interesting. I will maintain what we argued last week. Kyle Shanahan has to get one of these at some point. Like here they are again blowing out a bad team. Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP. He's the best player in the NFL this year, him or Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill was hurt this week. I think that would be my 1-2 punch.
Tyreek's out now. They won 30-0.
Exactly. Well, and that, look, if he came back and still went on a record pacing receiving yards stretch here in the last couple of weeks, then maybe. McCaffrey's the best player in the NFL. You can argue he has been for 2 years. Like, enough of this already. He's catching touchdowns. He's running touchdowns. Leads in rushing yards. He had a touchdown catch yesterday. He's the Coach of the Year. McCaffrey's the MVP. There's arguments to be made of surprise teams. Like what Ryans has done in Houston is unbelievable. Nobody saw that coming. But there's just there's an idea of at some point Kyle Shanahan can't keep being this good and not win a Coach of the Year.
Well, that's my thing is like you have a historical season like this, you got to get rewarded for it. Like D'Amico's worthy, Stefanski worthy, obviously Steichen at Indy worthy. But like we're talking about the 7th seed in the AFC and the 5 seed in the AFC and a team not even or just right on the bubble of the playoffs versus the guy who is beat Philly.
Yeah.
Routed Dallas.
The 2 teams that they have competing with them in the NFC blew them both out.
Like another divisional crown because they won the NFC West yesterday. The MVP one, I think, is the more interesting topic, and I know we got to go. But it's Purdy McCaffrey. Purdy's leading it. Purdy says it's McCaffrey yesterday in the postgame. I feel like they're canceling each other out. Like that team's just overall amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Lamar may have made his case last night. My God, the playmaking he had on display in a spot where many maybe thought Jacksonville, desperate, keeps it close. They housed them.
They did. They dominated the game. Some of those throws are like, oh, God, why are you throwing that pass? Please don't throw that pass. Great pass.
Yeah,
Some of those just like scrambling around. Let's lob it up to Lively, who's going to jump over 3 defenders and catch a ball.
Hell of a throw, but man, to throw that pass after being wrapped, an unbelievable ability.
It's great arm strength. He's an unbelievable athlete. When I'm looking at impact, I look at San Francisco, and I think if you take McCaffrey off that team, they're still loaded. They're still going to be really good. They're not the dominant Super Bowl favorite that they are right now without Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, they were 3 years ago against Kansas City. They were the same.
I would argue their defense was better. I would argue their offensive line was better on that team. I know they have Trent Williams now, but I think they've upgraded a quarterback unquestionably. I'm not quite sure about their front 7 because they had some guys out yesterday. Arizona ran the ball all over them yesterday, but they scored 45, and I think McCaffrey's the thing that starts everything for them offensively.
It's a good poll question. Who is the MVP of the league? Because Lamar has a chance to do something no player's ever done in NFL history. 3,700 passing yards and potentially 900 rushing yards. No player's ever done that, and he's on track to do that.
Yep.
It's a fascinating time in the National Football League. We'll have more on the NFL a little bit later on. Coming up next, college football. And should Chauncey have called a timeout last night at the end of that Golden State basketball game? Hour number 2, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan. and they've asked or they've just started saying it. My wife says, hey, what kind of program? And then she's like, where was this from? You keep saying it.
Yeah, why are we doing this now?
Like college football coaches all across the southeastern part of America call it the program.
It's not a program.
No.
Come on, it's a program.
It's the program. We'll get some college football wheeling and dealings. Some we'll play a little is this happening? Sprague might have called this over a year ago. And give an update. Oregon State landing some guys, and then Oregon as well. But we'll get to the portal. Some rankings I saw, how we're already doing the Big Ten power rankings. There's the O, there's the W, where's UCLA? It's all weird. Chip Kelly audio as well from their LA Bowl win that they just had.
It's going to take a long time for that to sink in. Long time.
Oh, I think it's going to be less than a year, and you're going to be B1G dirt.
I mean, I'm excited about big-time matchups, but going like Big Ten media days, if interviewing Indiana's coach leading into the season, who the hell cares?
Portland played a basketball game last night. Did you watch?
I did watch this game last night.
You did? The Warriors were in town.
They were.
And
Brandon Roy was in town, too.
I was going to get to that.
Oh, okay. Were we not happy that Brandon Roy's back in town? B-Roy, the natural?
Okay, well, I was going to mention Steph Curry's streak being snapped of consecutive games with a three-pointer. It's over at 268.
Yes, and somehow we still lost.
What are we doing there? Can I ask this question out loud? Like, what is the Brandon Roy Blazer, and like how are we supposed to view this? This was clearly a stage thing of like, hey, we are terrible. Let's give us something to clap for. Brandon, we'll fly you down and we'll give you courtside seats because that just didn't naturally randomly happen.
No.
And a highlight tape ready to play.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, what are we doing there? Are we retiring the jersey? I'm so confused. What is the relationship? We're just going to clap every Brandon Roy. He's back. And then like 8 months later, Brandon Roy. There's no Roy jersey in the rafters.
No.
What is the relationship? What's the status? This is such a weird. This is like mom and dad flirting 20 years after being divorced. But you're like, wait a minute. I thought you hated each other. Do you hate each other or do you like each other? What's happening here? I don't know what that situation is.
I mean, this was 100% a fan support ploy. 100%. The attendance at the Utah game when they got smoked on Thursday night was like disastrously low. And I don't blame anybody. I've said all year, like, I'm not spending my money on this team. You shouldn't spend your money on this team. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Kudos to the fans for not going. It started as 100% a ploy of we need something. There needs to be some sort of goodwill, some sort of, hey, put it on social media. Everybody quote tweets it and says, yeah, look at that. Brandon Roy's back in town.
Shocking. The two mascot things not working, huh?
Yeah. We still have the Yeti guy. He's still here. But
he's not big anymore.
He's not
short.
big. Whatever. Let me ask you this, though, because I don't know this off the top of my head. I believe that's the first time he's been back at a game in a No, it's not.
No.
Okay, what was the last time he was at a game?
Swag, am I wrong here? And maybe text police will help me with this, too.
I thought it had been a long time since he'd come to a game. Like, he did the thing with the lottery, and he talked about being back in cahoots with the organization.
He's been at a game. This is like the third time I want to say they've done
Then I will totally back up your take. I just couldn't remember it, and I thought, he's back at a Blazer game. That's cool.
I'm pretty sure this was the second or third time they've... Brandon Roy! He's like seen in the 100 section, and he's waving on the big...
Well, I remember one, like, shortly after he stopped playing, he came to a game, I think because Jamal Crawford was on the team. I remember that one, and that was like the first time, and the divorce wasn't pretty, but he was back, and he got an ovation for that terrible Nate McMillan fired Blazer team, but he was there to watch
Roy
Jamal
returns
Crawford.
to... Well, so here he is. Yeah, so he did the draft lottery.
He did the lottery. I remember that.
I know for a fact he's been on the Jumbotron, and maybe it's a college game in my head or a high school tournament. He's been back at the Moda Center like 2 or 3 times and been recognized.
Okay, well, I famously called his LSI games as he won Coach of the Year, Naismith High School Coach of the Year.
Text police have to help me with this. I swear on everything, I've seen him at a Blazer game where they've done this song and dance. The highlight, the natural! And I'm like... Are we raising the jersey or are we not? What are we doing there?
How many times do we do the tribute video? I think is the question you're asking. And the only reason I would have pushed back is I didn't know if he had been at a game in the last handful of years. But if this becomes a thing that you're doing on a regular basis, it's just weird and it looks so desperate. And I'd imagine he gets to a point where he just wants to come to a game and watch a game and not have to stand up every single time. Like, yeah, thank you. I was very good. My career was cut short by injuries. Thanks for the reminder, everybody.
Yeah, it's been just a weird relationship. And
Very weird.
Just retire the jersey and make him the ambassador already. Get this over with. We know where this is going to go, but
just retire the number. Let's move on.
They won't do it.
I know. But nobody can wear number 7. It's one of those, like, it's retired, but it's not retired. Because Carmelo wanted to wear number 7, and they were like, no, you can't have it.
It's kind of one of the dumbest things we're doing right now is this song and dance with Brandon Roy. Anyways, the game happens.
Yes.
They feel like they're getting embarrassed, and they were. They were down 22 in the third.
Ant went scoreless in the first half.
He did. He did not have a great game against Utah. Nobody did. We talked about that game already, and Steph didn't make a 3, and they lost. And what happened was Steph Curry ices the game with 2 made free throws. He makes the first. Then he misses the second, or he doesn't ice it, but it would put him up 3. So up 116, 114. Steph weirdly misses a free throw. Portland doesn't call timeout. Shaden dribbles the ball up. Boom. Offensive foul with almost no time left. Golden State ball, game over. Rip City jumps on Twitter, the people who are on Twitter, and says, fire Chauncey. Fire him. Call timeout.
I mean, look, he should have called. I would have called timeout.
Said he was going to, but he saw Shaden, and he just said, I'm just going to trust this young buck.
I mean, the other tough thing, well, I can't remember off the top of my head. You guys will have to help. I was, iPad side viewing it, but he challenged a play earlier on in the night and lost his challenge. I can't remember what he challenged, but I think at the end of the game.
It was off Steph.
Was it? Yeah, well, I mean, but they didn't have a challenge left because he used the challenge earlier, and that would have been a play on that out of bounds call where you got the ball because it was off Steph, but they didn't have the challenge left. And so
I don't understand why the refs just didn't review that.
Because they didn't think it was close like we didn't have our view. Malloy thought that was a clean off Jeremy Grant.
They seemingly review almost anything late in the game. I don't know why they chose not
that was
to
ridiculous.
Review that one.
They should have got the ball back. That was clearly
when you're underneath a minute, like, what are we doing here? Like, I thought that's the whole point of replay review. And the NBA is really weird with how they do challenges where you can get another one, but you lose one, but then you can't challenge stuff in certain moments of the game.
You have to have a timeout, and if you are successful on the first one, you keep it for a second one. It's silly.
Just give him a challenge.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, and then you can pick it. That way you don't have to worry about, hey, that was a blatant missed call in the second quarter, but I don't want to use my challenge now just in case. It's kind of a dumb challenge system, but when you use it, you lose it, then you can't challenge a call like that late in the game. And then you got a young team that's kind of running up the floor like a freight train in Shaden Sharp. I don't know. I prefer to call a timeout there, but if he makes that shot, nobody's jumping on social media and saying fire the head coach.
It was a great play by Pajemski.
Yes.
But I would say you had the delay for the free throw, so he had a chance to call guys over
to set something
and
up,
say, here's what we're doing.
Right.
So once he told him what the plan was, he's like, hey, just, if we need a 3, this is what we're going to do. If he misses one and we only need a 2, let's get to the rim and get this to overtime. Whatever you want to. Yeah. But he had a chance to call them over. I don't know how long it takes for him to walk to the end of a minute or so. You don't need a timeout at that point. You just tell the guys, this is what we're doing, and then they either do it or don't do it.
You suck. Shoot a 3. Win the game. What are we doing?
Go for the win.
I was stunned when he passed the 3-point line. I'm like, I get he's athletic. He's a good player. I'm not even mad at his shot selection. In my mind, I'm like, we're terrible. I'm just like, 3. We're winning or we're losing. There's not we're going to overtime here.
Yeah, either end the game now, either way, whether it's win or lose.
Ant was really good in the second half of that game. Scoot's been playing good basketball lately. Yeah. Let's give him his flowers here. He's been playing better basketball for the better part of 2 weeks.
I think the pressure's off of him coming off the bench to have to be something. It's like, no, just let's watch the game a little bit. Let's see where your opportunities are. Now go in, and here's how you can be productive here tonight against this team. Go.
I got an issue with this because it's great to see. He had a really good game the other night against Utah. I think, his first double-double. Now, a lot of that came in garbage time down by 30, but what the hell? Give him credit for it, 20 and 10. Good night, Scoot. He had a really good first half yesterday. I think he had 10 points and 5 or 6 assists. He was really good in the first half. I got an issue with the logjam that's at guard right now, and I'm not asking for anybody of the 3 young guys to get traded. The Malcolm Brogdon thing is starting to not make sense to me right now.
Yeah, Scoot was better than Malcolm, I thought, yesterday.
And look, that's not going to be the case every night. Brogdon's a veteran. Scoot's going to have his down nights. The whole point of a year like this on a bad team is to develop guys. He was the number 3 overall pick in the draft. He was the player that you decided was too valuable to move on from to get Damian Lillard help this summer, because you could have traded that pick and you chose not to. So if that's how you feel about Scoot Henderson, why is he playing 22 minutes and not playing significant crunch time minutes at the end of the fourth quarter? And why is Malcolm Brogdon playing more minutes than him? A guy who is likely going to get dealt at the deadline, a guy who's been banged up the last couple of years. He's already been hurt this year.
They need to trade him before he gets hurt again.
I can't. It drives me nuts watching the end of these games. I'm not invested as a fan, but I'm finding myself getting angry because it's just dumb playing him 22 minutes, especially to your point that he's starting to figure it out. He's starting to settle in a little bit, which is great to see. I'd love to see that for Scoot, but playing him 22 minutes and not getting time in the, I don't care if you lose every game. That's the whole point.
Well,
he should be in the game in the final 5 minutes, learning how to run an offense in crunch time.
I think the thing that they counter with is you always hear you don't want to be the Pistons is what I've heard before. Like, hey, look, you need some vets. It helps the development, the growth, whatnot. You compete a little bit. Everybody doesn't flat out quit because you're so bad. And while I'll acknowledge some of that stuff, I'd also quickly say you're 4 games better. Like, you have 4 more wins than the team that's lost like 23 straight games.
Yes, so you have 6. They have 2.
Let's stop acting like we're like 12-win Blazers and it's the 2-win Pistons. We're barely better than them on a record stance.
Still got Grant and 8-2 in the starting lineup. He's got veterans around him.
Yeah,
Thibault's a veteran. He's been in the league for a couple of years.
They compete in these games and then they choke them away, and I get mad and I'm like, but they're not meant to be good this year. It's a whole weird thing with them. I don't know how to feel.
Look, wins and losses I don't care about. I want more losses than wins, but the whole point of a season like this is to develop guys to their max abilities. At the start of the year, it didn't make sense to bring Shaden off the bench. They got lucky with the injury to Ant because then they realized, hey, Shaden's pretty good. Maybe we should have him in the starting lineup. Now Scoot's coming off the bench, which whatever, that's fine. One of them has to come off the bench, but play them in the fourth quarter and down the stretch.
Any text police? Am I wrong on? I swear I've seen Roy at a game and they've done this whole like he waves to the crowd thing.
I'm trying to think.
Because I googled it and you get last night's stories and then it goes to 2010. Like Google sucks lately.
Yeah, somebody said he came back when he was on the T-Wolves. He didn't play, but they gave him a standing ovation. That was a long time ago.
Way later. I'm talking about like a year or 2 ago. He did this.
No, our YouTube chat is arguing Dylan Gabriel or Will Rogers right now, so that's where the arguments are at. We're not getting any feedback on Brandon Roy.
Let's go to college then, I guess. How about that?
That's the argument right now.
Will Rogers or Dylan? Okay, yep. I don't know what the argument is.
That's where we're at.
Both teams seem to have gotten a quarterback they like.
They're both pretty good. They had good runs at their previous schools.
Let's dive into college football. We'll break away, I guess, from the Blazers, and that sums it up, I guess, for the Portland Trail Blazers locally here. Talk a little college football. This might be looming for a program. Is there danger? Next on The Fan. R.I.P. to Eric Montrose, former Tar Heel legend. Well, in my mind.
That came out of nowhere, man. That was really sad. Everybody who met him said he was one of the nicest guys you could ever run into. So,
color analyst for the UNC basketball team. He passed away, former player, of course.
52, I believe, way too young.
And Shams is tweeting out, Draymond is in the process of being suspended for 3 weeks because why would the NBA dare give him game length?
He's just starting the counseling phase. Okay, he's got to sit down with his counselor.
That's a spineless league.
At least for 3 weeks. At least.
This stuff almost makes me hate the sport I like so much. It really does. I think Silver's a clown in some respects.
Yeah.
He just, what do you want? What do the players want? It's like, this is where Stern thrived.
It was.
And this is where you don't want to live. So, okay.
I love the Ja Morant quote, who evidently is back, and that kind of flew under the radar. And he was asked if he regretted everything, and he basically said, no, I don't.
Yeah, that was nice to hear.
That was nice. Good. All right. Way to go, Ja. All right. Welcome back to the league, buddy.
I do think it's an interesting guy. I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do the next hour and a half of the show. I do think, who is the credit? Like, who is the MVP for the Niners to people? Is it McCaffrey? Because right now Vegas is saying it's Purdy.
I mean, I think what makes them unstoppable is that you can make the argument for so many, like Shanahan's system, Trent Williams being the best offensive lineman in the league. Purdy has been perfect.
That's it. I mean, like, let's stop BSing here. Whether I think it's Purdy or you think McCaffrey or vice versa, it's having Trent Williams block on the left side. We saw what they were for 3 weeks without him and what their game was, and McCaffrey's a stud. I don't know. I feel like Raheem Mostert was also amazing, and so was Mitchell, and so was running backs I've never heard. And McCaffrey is, I think, absolutely set himself apart, but I don't know. I think the whole conversation's tough with them. They're just such a good team, and they're so balanced, and they have the best left tackle, and Purdy is awesome, and so is Debo.
Yeah.
George Kittle seemingly up the seam every play open. Ayuk is having a monster year where he's averaging like 12 yards per catch. Every time he catches it, it's like 12 yards. I don't know how do you divide and sort out the MVP of it, which makes me want to bet a non-49er for that award. I'd lean Lamar. They capture the 1 seed. Nobody picked him to do that. And his 3,700 and 900 rushing yard season would be pretty amazing, as he showed last night, the value of what he is. I just don't know how you sort out the San Francisco part of that conversation, but that's going to continue to build all week as they get closer to a Raven-Niner Christmas game.
Well, it should be noted, if Christian McCaffrey couldn't win it in 19, and I don't want to take anything away from Lamar Jackson because he had an unbelievable year in 2019, but if McCaffrey couldn't win it in 19, I'm going to be wrong on this. I'm just telling you who I would vote for if I had a vote. I think he's the best player in the NFL, or you can make an argument. What he does running the ball, he's like 300 yards clear of the next closest running back in total yards.
How I would phrase it, I wouldn't say best player. I would say what you're hitting on. He is the perfect player for that system.
He was great in Carolina, though, when he was healthy, too.
No, I know, but I'm saying his abilities, what he thrives in, is perfect for how this team is built, is what I'm saying.
Yes, he is like 100 yards away from setting a career high in rushing yards, which when 2019 was his high, about 1,380 yards. He's at just shy of 1,300 yards right now. So 100 yards away, he does it. He's 2 touchdowns away from setting a career high in rushing touchdowns. He has 7 receiving touchdowns. That is a career high already. He has 500 total receiving yards. Like, I look at the balance that he brings to their offense, and it just makes them a nightmare to stop. I love Brock Purdy. I've been on the Brock Purdy train since the second he was inserted as the starting quarterback. But to your larger point, this is a team that has won at a high level with another quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is a dropped interception against the Rams from maybe winning one, or a deep touchdown pass from maybe winning one. So they were close.
Same with the running back position.
I think they've taken it to a new level, and I'd have to go back and look, because you're not wrong. They've always been able to run the ball. I don't know. Nobody's ever put up yards like this, I don't think, because he still has, 3 games to go. We'll see if he plays in the last week, if they need to play for home field advantage in the playoffs. But he's on pace for about 1,500 rushing yards this year and 700 receiving yards. That's a massive season.
I'm trying to see the last year
was great, and he had that dominant NFC title game. But did he have a 1,500-yard season? Because it felt like it was more back.
Elijah Mitchell was 8th in the NFL in rushing in 2021. Okay. He had 963 yards.
Okay.
Before that, you go 2020, because they had like 2 or 3 backs for a couple of years.
It was way more balanced with different backs, for sure.
Jeff Wilson was their leading rusher that year with 600, which goes to show you just how. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a tough thing to figure out. I think Brock's
splitting
taking the
hairs.
right approach, though.
Yeah.
He's like, give it to Christian. He's doing the perfect Tom Brady young quarterback thing of,
Yes.
I don't want the credit. Give it to coach. Give it to this guy. Give it to that guy. Did you see Trent Williams and McCaffrey at the podium yesterday?
I did not know.
They were standing next to each other, winning division champion T-shirts, answering questions. And I think it was either Trent or McCaffrey. One of them said, "We're Rob and Big Black."
Oh, hell yeah. That's a great throwback.
Have you seen their golf celebration?
No. Oh, yeah, on the field. Yeah.
That little chip swing thing when they score a tutty. It's a great celebration.
Yeah, this is one of those years. Maybe Lamar does it. Maybe it's Josh Allen and the way I don't know. Maybe it's Brock Purdy. I love Brock Purdy. I would have a hard time giving him the MVP for the same arguments I would make against Jalen Hurts last year. Like, you're playing on such a dominant team. I have a hard time going there with the award. There's some years in the NFL where I get really frustrated. It has turned into a quarterback-only award.
Yeah.
And this is one of those years of like Tyreek Hill in the season he's having, Christian McCaffrey the year he's having. There's not a quarterback that's above and beyond. Like, shut up with Dak Prescott now. You can't have that bad of a game and win an MVP.
He's got to be out.
He's eliminated.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we grasping to find the best quarterback when you have these skill players who have these awesome numbers?
USC message boards hinting that Lincoln Riley might be the Chargers coach.
Oh, they're already freaked out, huh?
The message boards are saying Intel, and then Malachi Nelson decommits, or he hits the portal because he was there last year as a 5-star kid.
That was a massive red flag.
Well, people think it's because Riley is wooing Will Howard very strongly and might not be as encouraged about Malachi Nelson suddenly a year later, but there's also message board intel saying Sauces in L.A. might be going up the road to coach old Justin Herbert in the L.A. Chargers, which I said over a year ago.
You did.
I
yeah.
would be worried about that,
You
and
did.
maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't, but USC message boards, a little bit of shambles right now.
It would be hilarious.
Let's talk college football.
Let's do it.
Do you want to do that next?
I would love to do. We can do that next. There's also one team that's hitting home run after home run after home run in the portal.
Yeah, and they might hit another home run.
They might hit the biggest home run of them all.
Which would devastate you.
Yes, it would.
So we'll dive into some college football conversation. We only have 3 shows this week, so we need to kind of get to some of the bowl stuff as well. We have Chip Kelly audio. He wants to fix college football. I actually got a problem with something he said on fixing college football. So we'll talk about all of that next. Dirt and Sprague and Ken Barkley at 8 a.m. on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by X Golf. It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver and Tualatin, the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com. First on The Fan. The first 4 playoff spots in the NFL were clinched on Sunday. The 49ers, currently the top seed in the NFC, won the West Division for back-to-back years with a 45-29 blowout of the Arizona Cardinals. The Cowboys and Eagles get in based on losses by other teams earlier in the day, but Dallas did a face plant in Buffalo. They lose 31-10. The Bills ran all over their defense. James Cook, 179 yards and 2 scores. Philly is in Seattle tonight, where the Seahawks need an upset win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Geno Smith questionable with a troublesome groin. Philly's quarterback Jalen Hurts has been battling an illness, hasn't practiced all week. Kickoff here on The Fan, 5:15. Our pregame coverage starts at 3 following Danny and Dusty. Eagles are 3-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. The Ravens are the first AFC team into the tournament. They beat up on Jacksonville 23-7. The Jags were their own worst enemies with missed field goals, some turnovers, and poor clock management. The Blazers took them a half to get going against the Warriors, and all 24 of his points coming after halftime, but it wasn't enough. The rally falls short, 118-114. Klay Thompson, 28, including 5 threes. Portland will host Phoenix Tuesday night. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us. is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. 7:37 on a Monday morning. We got some fun with audio coming up in a bit. Chip Kelly's trying to solve the woes that face us in college football.
Matthew tweeting us saying B-Roy for sure made a Moda appearance with the stands and wave. I can't remember the game. I can't find it on Google. I know this has happened at least 2 or 3 times.
That makes it even weirder. If you've done it before and it's just like, every time did we do the whole montage thing? We did the whole video highlight and all that stuff? Natural.
From what I remember is, and he wasn't sitting courtside the previous, he was in the lower 100 section, but they showed him on the big screen. I think maybe they showed him not a full package with audio, but they showed some stuff and he waved and retire the jersey or stop doing this every 2 years just to get people to show up and be happy about something. You know what I mean? Get it done.
I'm with you on that. Stop flirting. Let's get married now, damn it. Let's talk some college football, shall we? A lot of news over the weekend. I don't even really know where to begin. The sport continues to be crazy. And signing day, I want to say, is on Wednesday. I think our first signing day is coming up at some point in the next 2 days. So it's right around the corner. One team has done an unbelievable job in the portal, and I'm in awe. And it's a guy who has kind of bemoaned the system from time to time. And boy, oh boy, is he cashing in right now. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are having themselves a hell of a run right now. There's a lot of players they've added. Some of the most prominent, Juice Wells, who is a big-time wide receiver from South Carolina. He just committed over the weekend, and a lot of people have put in predictions and crystal balls for Ole Miss to land Walter Nolan, who you've heard me talk about. He's the number 1 player in the portal. He's the biggest difference maker in my mind in the portal. Number 1 defensive lineman. He can come in and be an immediate Jalen Carter type for them up front. And Ole Miss, all of a sudden, they got a good talent base. That was a 10-2 team that's all right, you're good, but clearly not good enough to beat Bama and Georgia. They got smoked by Georgia and Athens. But here comes a little bit of a talent upgrade, and all of a sudden, Ole Miss looks like maybe they can make some noise next year.
The quarterback's also returning, Jackson Dart.
Yep.
That'll be massive. Yeah, Wilt Fung, he is crystal balling Walter Nolan.
Yes.
He's got a quote in the story on 24/7 where they're basically saying, Lane's got something cooking over there. Massive and not surprising. Ole Miss is... We've mentioned it. They're kind of the Penn State of the SEC. They're a good team.
Yes.
Certainly wouldn't want to say they're awful or overrated in that way, but they clearly are a level below the contending teams of the 2 natural teams that dominate that conference largely in the Saban era and now in the Smart era with Georgia and Bama. Man, these are the kind of moves where we talk about high school recruiting and college football portal stuff. It feels like more people are following and care a little more about the portal, but it should be noted just how valuable high school recruiting still is, that it's not an entire team made up of portal cats, even though Dion's currently trying to do this, right?
Yeah.
Revamp the offensive line, get other guys in here right away.
He's had a really good run in the portal.
He has. He's been top 3, I think, in recruiting in the portal so far, but you have to establish. That's what Sark at Texas did. People think this is just portal stuff, and it's not. It's helped with the portal, but when you establish a baseline of guys who are 4 and 5 stars that get there and create this, Washington's dealing with this. High-end portal guys, but a lot of supporting cast, and a lot of the guys are high school recruits themselves. It just, to me, Dirt, feels like we're following the portal more because we know the entities a little better.
We know the names.
They're proven commodities.
Yeah. How many high school recruit names can you even name off the top of your head?
Well, no, I mean, I struggle to name linemen and skill position guys all over America, even if I watch the teams. But what I would say is Malachi Nelson's a great example of this.
He was the number 1 recruit in the country, according to ESPN a year ago.
5-star, high-end quarterback. USC lands him. Everybody goes, well, there's the next Caleb. He's gone. He's in the portal now. And that you don't see quarterbacks do that to Lincoln Riley very often.
Nope.
And whether that's because he's going to go get Will Howard or he's going into the NFL, it's massive because I didn't know anything about Malachi Nelson, and I still don't because I haven't seen him really play. But now a 5-star guy bounces after 1 year at USC with the best college coach for a quarterback you can have right now, given the Heisman track record.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that.
It goes insane. And it's why I tend not to follow high school as closely as I follow the college one.
Yeah, the Ole Miss thing, I will say, I don't know if the SEC is going to be, they're adding Texas and Oklahoma. I'd have to go look at their schedule and see who exactly they play. They remind me, though, of a team that we've talked a lot about, ironically, here the last couple of weeks, who had a decent base of recruiting. They were a couple of key game-changing players away from getting over the top. And this year, in most normal years they get over the top, but they didn't. It's Florida State. Like Florida State was kind of this, that you had a good base of recruiting. You could always recruit at a decently high level in Tallahassee, but then they went out and got Keon Coleman, and they went out and got Jordan Travis, and they went out and got, Wilson at wide receiver, and all of a sudden here comes Florida State. They have an undefeated season, and we all feel horrible for the way the year ended for them. This from Ole Miss kind of reminds me of that. Like they're good. They've been competitive. Here comes the over-the-top type move.
They're going to be the trendy pick next year.
They're going to be a trendy pick, and we'll see. Maybe it's not enough to beat Georgia and Alabama. Divisions are gone next year in the SEC. I know they get Georgia at home, but maybe this is enough. Florida State benefits from playing in the ACC. The ACC is not very good, so I don't know if Ole Miss will have that same bump to get to competing for a national championship, but it is impressive to see what Lane Kiffin's done, and he's bemoaned their boosters a lot of saying, we need more money. Like, hey, what's the difference between you and Georgia? He's like, dude, they got 5 stars. We don't have 5 stars. We need 5 stars. And he said, you got to open up your wallet if you want those kids.
Furman, Middle Tennessee State, Wake
tough.
Forest.
Tough, not gone.
Georgia Southern.
Tough, not gone.
Those are their first 4 games.
That's 4-0.
Then they're home against Kentucky, on the road at South Carolina, who was a dumpster at the end of the year.
That could easily be 6-0.
At LSU, but LSU is going to restart at quarterback.
Yes, they will.
And then you get Oklahoma at home. You're at Arkansas, Georgia at home, at Florida, Mississippi State.
They got a shot.
If you're playing the win-loss, win-win-win, loss-loss, win.
I mean, that's a playoff team in a 12-team playoff.
Absolutely.
Right, a 10
There's probably 2 losses or less on that schedule. Florida might be in a bad spot at that point. Arkansas is a disaster. We'll see what happens with old who am I thinking of?
Pittman?
No, not Pittman. The guy they just hired. The motorcycle coach.
Oh, Petrino, Bobby Petrino. Yes.
Thank you. I wanted to say Patino for some reason.
They're similar.
Kentucky, I don't know with Stoops. He wanted to leave, but he wasn't allowed to. South Carolina's tear. I don't know. They're an interesting team next year. They're definitely going to be a trendy pick to make the playoffs.
Especially if they land Walter Nolan. It seems like that is going to happen. I would urge Phil Knight, if you're listening. Phil Knight's a big P1 of the show.
I don't think this is about money.
Maybe it's not, but,
I think he might want to stay in that region.
It can't hurt to offer a couple more zeros. Throw a couple more zeros on there. See what we can do, okay? Be competitive, all right? Let's talk about Washington getting their transfer quarterback. That happened over the weekend. That officially took place. And then let's get into the Malachi Nelson thing a little bit. That's a bombshell. Like, that kid might end up being a bust, might not be a big deal. In the long term, maybe it is Lincoln Riley leaving. That's massive because he's supposed to be the heir apparent to Caleb Williams. We'll dive into that. A little more college football next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
Cook again, wide on. James Cook through everyone, and he scores again.
I don't care if they're the 4 seed, the 7 seed. I don't think it matters. I don't know anybody in the AFC that feels good coming here.
There's Burkhardt and Olsen on Fox on the call. Cowboys routed at Buffalo. And to Olsen's point, it might not matter, Greg. I like Buffalo too. All those other teams in the wild card went out. It ain't going to matter.
Him and little baby KK are great, and Buffalo looks like a dangerous team right now. They can run the football all of a sudden. Where did that come from? I don't know, but Allen doesn't have to do it all on his own.
Well, who's stinking it up? It's definitely the Dallas Cowboys. Can't win a big road game. Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Get your time back. Let the pros tackle whatever project you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com.
Oregon Ducks football is on the Fan. On 1080, The Fan.
Guess you better slow your bus.
Well, some more quarterback news. It's funny how these all turn out basically how we thought they would. It started with Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon. How everybody kind of assumed, man, this is going to happen. Will Rogers over the weekend committing to Washington. Everybody saw that one coming, and he committed. And it sounds like this morning Will Howard is going to commit to USC, just like we all thought. He was from Kansas State. And so the Pac-12 new Big Ten teams are starting to find their starting quarterbacks. And, who the hell knows how all of them are going to work out. But I think they're all going into good systems and good places. The USC situation is the most interesting to me, though, because of the rumors that you're alluding to with Lincoln Riley potentially leaving. And the Malachi Nelson bombshell that drops of that guy was he was a massive deal. He was an Oklahoma commit to Lincoln Riley. He stayed committed to Lincoln when he came to USC. He flipped his commitment immediately. He was the number one player in the country, according to ESPN. Now, he had a really rough freshman year. From reading the tea leaves, it sounds like he was banged up, didn't pick up the offense as quickly. He's one of those guys that it might take a little bit longer and isn't ready to play right away. The only other big-time freshman, though, that played in their first season also looked really bad, and that was Dante Moore. Moore had some good throws from time to time, but he looked lost out there half the time that he was on the field at UCLA. So it's not necessarily an indictment on him. If Lincoln doesn't leave for the Chargers, which is a whole nother offshoot that we can get to, that's a really interesting one because he was supposed to be the next guy. Even if you bring in a Will Howard, he's going to start for a year. He's a grad transfer kind of guy. It just gives you one more year as a gap. It's what Washington's doing. They got a young quarterback that they like. He's just not quite ready to play yet, so let's bring in a guy for 1 year and then hopefully hand the reins off. If Lincoln doesn't leave, that's a head scratcher for me and Malachi Nelson.
Well, I mean, but doesn't Lincoln's pedigree lend itself for you to not?
I'm not saying they can't be good. Why is that kid leaving? That's what I want to know. If he's not going to the NFL, because if he goes to the NFL, then it makes a world of sense.
Well, I mean, no disrespect with this, but maybe it's Ty Thompson 2.0. He sees him every day, and it's not at all what he thought it would be, and it's not clicking for him. If he's staying in college, Lincoln, as bad as the season ended for him, and with all the ridicule they took, he doesn't strike me as he's moving on unless he knows for sure something. Will Howard was good for Kansas State this year. I'd imagine Will Howard in that system, you're feeling pretty good.
Totally.
I just think there's coaches that when they take a guy on, like Will Rogers, let's take him, Mississippi State. 1,600 yards, 12 tutties, 4 picks, 60.
He was banged up last year.
60% completion percentage. He was banged up.
And their offense did not. They tried to go from Mike Leach air raid to pro style, and it just was a disaster. And the coach got fired.
But he's going with Kalen DeBoer. So I'm going to assume he's going to fit in with what Kalen DeBoer is doing well. I think certain coaches should just be given a benefit of doubt, instead of just saying, well, man, look at the sinking ship. I mean, maybe there's some of that, but they're still USC. They stole the best FCS coach, and they got him to coach linebackers. They stole UCLA's D coordinator that everybody liked, a young up-and-coming mind with an NFL background pedigree because of his family. That was a pretty big haul. Now you get a quarterback that's going to work in a system really well. They lost a receiver and a couple guys to the portal, but man, they'll fill in the blanks. I think
offensively, USC will be fine.
So my point is, I saw the Malachi Nelson thing too, and I think we've known the name for a couple years. There's that surprise, but I'm not like, oh man, what's going on? What's happening with Lincoln? Lincoln's going to get the transfer from Kansas State. I think that'll be okay. I don't know if this Malachi Nelson kid's going to be anything.
Yeah, we have no clue.
We have no clue, but I'm going to trust that the coach who knows how to coach quarterbacks, maybe the best in America, is looking at that going, man, I'm going to take the grad transfer and figure it out after that.
No, I mean, the biggest thing he's got to figure out is defense, and they're trying to hire guys. They got a couple of Oregon State commits over the weekend as well. That happened. The Arnold brothers are going down to USC to play, so that was one of the announcements in the portal. It's not even necessarily like a what the hell's wrong with Lincoln. That just I was shocked by that. When you have a kid who's committed to a coach at 2 different schools and it's only 1 year, maybe to your point on Ty Thompson, that's it. And Lincoln sees him in practice and is like, woof, this guy sucks. Let's get him out of here. Maybe that's the case, but you don't often see that after one season. Usually coaches are willing. There was reports out of Texas this year that Arch he wasn't ready to play.
He played at a lower level in high school, and
yes,
he went to Texas knowing he wouldn't play, and he wanted it that way.
That was a part of the plan all along.
He was cool with Malik Malik Murphy, who might be going to Oregon State because he was filmed at the airport.
He's in Portland right now. Shout out Malik.
Well, I think he's in Corvallis now, but like he was fine being the third string quarterback.
He totally was. So some guys just aren't ready right away. So if that is a push out, you don't often see that after 1 year for a guy who was the number one recruit in the country. So, and maybe this is the rumors. Maybe it's Lincoln's going to the NFL, and he'd said, "Hey, I'm going to the NFL, so get off the boat while you can."
But why would Will Howard choose USC?
That
was the intel.
So it was just a shocker to me because those two have been kind of joined at the hip now for like 3 years, and after one season to bolt, I'm fascinated to see where he ends up, if the truth ever comes out about why he transferred and what went on there. But that's a big time fish that all of a sudden we didn't assume was going to be in the portal. That is in the portal. Let me ask longtime Charger fan Jason Swigard this. Long-suffering Charger fan.
Well, I mean, he kind of jumped on and then he suffered instantly.
In the normal breaking news fashion on Friday after the show, Brandon Staley got fired at like 9:05, so, that was cool.
Shout out the Chargers on that one.
That was great.
Yes.
They fired him and the general manager, Tom Telesco. They were both canned on Friday.
There was no justification after that race.
Right after we got off the air. So we have not talked about that yet.
So, yes.
Congrats, Chargers. Bill Belichick or Lincoln Riley? You only get to pick one.
Yeah, did you see that, by the way? That picked up steam right after our show.
It did.
Belichick and the Chargers. I'm like,
We talked about it on the air Friday.
I think I'd be more up for Lincoln Riley. The question is, I think the more important thing is who's going to be the GM, because their salary cap predicament is pretty bad.
Yep.
And so whoever the GM is going to have to be pretty inventive, pretty creative. Their scouting crew for the NFL draft is going to have to be excellent. They can't miss with any draft pick in the next couple of years. So I would rather have Lincoln Riley there with Justin Herbert. I think Herbert's the type of guy who could handle playing for Belichick. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, but I don't know how long Belichick's in this for.
That's a tough part. Yeah.
Is he just sticking around so he can beat Shula's record and then peace out?
Yes.
Yes,
he wants to win, but
I think he wants that. He wants that Brady ring too. He wants the one that could shut everybody up and say, "I didn't need him the entire time."
So yeah. So I think I would rather go with Lincoln Riley, though. That they've got enough talent on offense that's going to be there at least for a couple of seasons that they should be able to score 30 a game.
Mike Williams might have been playing. He might be playing himself out of the NFL. He can't stay healthy.
If they can draft Brock Bowers, that would be awesome.
The thing about him, too.
They're going to cut Keenan Allen, too, by the way. His contract is massive. They're going to cut Bosa. They're going to cut Khalil Mack. They're way over the cap next year.
Bosa can't stay healthy. No. I've seen Keenan Allen drop more passes this year that pissed me off at the worst possible time. Mike Williams, can't stay healthy.
No.
And Mack had a good year, but again, the cap number.
Yeah.
They got out of the J.C. Jackson contract. If you're going that route, and I don't know if they are or not, but if you're going that route, your best hope is that this is Shanahan. Now, Shanahan has the NFL pedigree. He's not coming from the college system. Mm-hmm. So there's that difference. But you're basically saying, dude, just worry about the offense and your quarterback. We handle all the other stuff. I mean, look at the Niners. It's Saleh, it's D'Amico Ryans, now it's Steve Wilkes, and oh, by the way, John Lynch, who's made some bad picks and trades. Look at their horses on defense. He knows how to get defensive linemen. He knows an area of weakness for most NFL teams is offensive line. So I'm going to beat you and have a freak at middle linebacker in Fred Warner. That's what you do. That's what the Chargers need to do. If they're pivoting to the Lincoln Riley thing, you need to just say, Lincoln, just concern yourself with offense. We will handle the rest. We're going to hire a D coordinator. That's the model. There's no other model that makes sense to me because Lincoln in college has shown not to know what to do on defense so far either.
Right. The tough part is, at least if he goes to the NFL, he doesn't have to necessarily recruit defensive guys. You just got to draft the right guys. You don't have to convince defensive guys to come play for you.
Yes.
In free agency, you will, obviously, but the GM will be the guy that's behind all that. It's not the head coach that goes about acquiring talent. Interesting move. We'll see what they do. Maybe he leaves. He's already got a mansion in L.A., so you just drive to a different stadium to go coach your games on a different day of the week.
I mean, it's an enticing thing. It has to be for both sides, by the way, to want the offensive guru who knows what to do with quarterback and to have that quarterback. And for Lincoln to say, well, if I ever made that jump, I'd want a quarterback. Well, there you go.
Here's your quarterback.
6'6", cannon arm, freak athlete.
Yeah.
Be 100% healthy by the start of the fall camp.
He's in choppy waters at USC right now, too. I know that sounds dumb, but this is a big year for them because they're coming off a disastrous season. They had a really good year one, a lot of turnover breaks, bad year two with Caleb Williams. They open with LSU in Vegas. They're going to a Big Ten schedule. Interesting to see what happens there with Lincoln Riley. We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. show. What are you guys going to do with all the money? We'll talk about that because that happened. A couple other college football notes I want to get to. A few leftovers from the NFL. It's loaded. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with
From the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
You've been arrested for DUI. You need a team of attorneys you can put your trust in. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan. 4 teams have clinched an NFL playoff spot after Sunday's action. The 49ers, NFC West champions for a second straight season, blowing out the Cardinals 45-28. San Francisco currently the top seed in the NFC. The Cowboys and Eagles, due to losses down the standings, clinched their spots, but Dallas did a face plant in Buffalo 31-10, giving up over 200 rushing yards. The Eagles are in Seattle tonight for Monday Night Football. Not sure how quarterback Jalen Hurts is feeling. He's been battling an illness all week, has not practiced. Meanwhile, Geno Smith is still questionable with his troublesome groin. 5:15 kick here on The Fan. Our pregame coverage starts at 3 following Danny and Dusty. The Eagles currently 3.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. The Ravens, the only AFC team to clinch after their 23-7 win over Jacksonville Sunday night. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your home for bowl games and the college football playoff. The Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. This is Dirt and Sprague.
I mean, how does a tiger get in the bathroom? It almost killed me.
Hey, bro, you mind putting on some pants? I find it a little weird I have to ask twice.
Pants at a time like this, I don't have any.
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
Hey, is it a little too early for being that loud? Hey, too late. It's 0600. What's the O stand for? Oh, my God, it's early.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
Okay, I'm gonna get on that. Just give me a minute.
Joyce is very upset.
Flo, we've discussed this. Mornings are for coffee and contemplation. Coffee and contemplation.
The Fan.
Hey, let's do this. Final hour. Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan. 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app. Live on YouTube. Thanks for everybody watching along, arguing about bandwagon fans and all sorts of different arguments going on the YouTube live feed this morning. We love you all.
Just about everybody's a bandwagon fan. You either hop onto a good team when you're young
Yes.
and you're fatherless like I did, or you
Yes.
just follow daddy's team. Who's
Yes.
daddy's team? That's my team.
You didn't have a daddy.
You didn't pick your own team.
No.
Like, there's no originality with that, but there also, you probably pick a good team because you're fatherless.
I mean, if anybody should get some flack for being a front runner around here, we know who it is. It's the Cowboy Dodger fan. Is there a worse combination than that? Maybe a Cowboy Yankee fan, and then adding the Lakers in there. That's about as front runner as you could get. There's no more front running than that. All right, here we go. On the line is host, You Bet Odyssey Sports Betting Insider Ken Barkley. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the You Bet or You Bet podcast for more of Ken Barkley's analysis. Just search You Bet wherever you find your podcasts. Are you a big Christmas guy, Ken? Do you give a lot of gifts? How's Christmas go in the Barkley household?
It goes really well, and happy holidays to you guys for sure. It goes really well. A lot of big Christmas. We're big team Christmas over here. I mean, I have two small kids.
Yeah.
So they're 6 and 4. Like I don't have a choice. Like even if I wasn't, I do like Christmas. Just for the record, I do like Christmas. But even if I didn't, it wouldn't really. And this actually relates to a sports topic. Like with Christmas, who cares what I think? Like if I have two small kids. Like that answers the question. And like I'm sure have you guys talked about NFL Most Valuable Player at all during the show today?
Yes,
we have.
Yeah, we were
right. It's the hot topic in sports right now. Obviously, I bet a ton of awards. It's like the thing I put the most time into. Here's the crossover. Like, oh, do you like Christmas? Well, it doesn't really matter whether I like Christmas or not. It's happening, and it's going to be a big deal because I have two small kids. Okay. Who do I think should win MVP? It doesn't matter at all. It only matters what the voters are going to do. And like, hate to be the bearer of bad news to everybody that's like on Twitter and social media yelling. Like, nobody that's talking wants to vote for Brock Purdy. Like, sorry, everybody. Like, sorry about that. And like, yeah, they're dumb. They're not going to vote for him. Sorry, like they're really dumb. They should probably vote for him. They're probably not going to. But like your job, and here's where like sports and betting are so much different, right? Sports is like you can yell and scream, like sports talk. You yell and scream like, how is he? It's got to be him. He's number one in everything. He's the quarterback of the best team. And like I'm with you on that. Great. But like betting on awards is entirely different. It's entirely about. It has nothing to do with what you think. Like you, the person betting, it has nothing to do with that. It's like a mock draft where it's like, well, I think the team should draft this. Great, you're not the GM. Thanks, appreciate it. So, and like betting on awards is the same thing. Hey, I can be the smartest person in the world or think I'm the smartest person in the world. If I don't figure out what this voting block is going to do, and some voting blocks are smarter than others in other sports. If I can't figure out what these guys are going to do, then I've failed. And sorry, like I'm listening. All I'm doing this time of year is listening and talking to you guys, but listening mostly. And like all I get is, yeah, but what about this other guy? They're like, but what about Josh Allen if he wins out? They're like, maybe it's McCaffrey instead. So like, yeah, you could send all the charts you want about how awesome he is. It's like so fascinating to me that like people just get so mad. Like, oh, well, like how can they do that? Your job as a bettor. If you don't get if you can't predict what they're going to do, then you failed. Yeah. And I think they're leaning away from Purdy right now, and he's in the best possible situation, and they're still not willing to say he's number one or doing it. Like he should be getting every vote this morning. He couldn't be further ahead, and yet everyone's still like, oh, it's really wide open. Like, what? It's really wide open. Like, that's crazy. He's number one in every stat. If he's not, you've gotten the greatest run out of all time. I'm just going to talk for another minute. Sorry. You've gotten the greatest run out of all time. If you bet Brock Purdy MVP or you're a Niners fan, you want him to win. Literally, like, it's as well as it can be going. They're going to be the 1 seed maybe, or at least like the 2, probably the 1. And it depends on the Baltimore game. But, like, they're going to be the 1 seed. He's number 1 in every single statistic. He's the quarterback of the best team. They just won and scored 50 points, basically, in a game. And all of his competitors played poorly. This should be, like, everyone should be waking up this morning in a normal – like, if this was Mahomes that did this, everyone would be waking up this morning. Like, it wouldn't even be a con. We'd talk about something else instead. But, like, again, your job is to figure out what the voters are going to do. And despite everything on earth working in Brock Purdy's favor, all of the conversation this morning is like, well, I got to tell you, if Josh Allen wins out, I think it's his. And it's like, well, it's like, yeah, like, you got to listen to that. Like, you got to listen. Yeah, they're dumb. Yeah, sorry that they're dumb. Your job as a bettor is to recognize that they're dumb and bet on that thing. Like, that's what it is. So,
if I played everything you just said
Ken Barkley
and asked my wife, Ken, what question do you think brought out that 3.5 minute answer, she would never have said, are you a big Christmas guy, was the question that got there. And that's why I love you. But
you're catching me on a Monday.
That's right.
And I haven't done my show
He's
yet.
feisty on a Monday. I know.
On my show. Well, on my show, you're going to get a lot more of that. You just get me first. That's the problem.
Hey, Ken, but what about Christian McCaffrey, though? Huh? I'll hang up and listen.
Look, let's be honest here. We can make all the arguments and give the opinions on this. If we're being 100% truthful, we did a poll question on our show page, and the person that should win this conversation is far and away getting trounced in it. The MVP of that team is Trent Williams. Brock Purdy's not operating without Trent Williams. We saw it. The run game is lesser than with Trent Williams out. We saw it. Like, these are all great players. It's a fantastically loaded team, and maybe the best player on the whole team is the left tackle, but that's not sexy, so we don't give them the award. Let me ask you about a market you are dabbling in.
Ooh.
I know it's kind of award season right now for you guys. I tweeted back to your co-host, Nick, about a week ago on one of the awards, and he mentioned you and how you don't think it's viable. I think there's 4 guys that are possible to win the Coach of the Year award right now in my mind, and maybe I'm omitting a name here, so forgive me. I think it's Stefanski, Steichen, DeMeco Ryans, and Shanahan. This goes back to it's your opinion. It's not a fact what voters will do.
Right.
Shanahan's never won this award. He's been the best coach in football for probably 4 years now. They just haven't won the Super Bowl. Stefanski won it in 2020. Steichen and Texans, like, those are barely wild card teams. At some point, the guy with the best record and the most dominant team, while doing it with the last pick of the draft, has got to be cashed out and rewarded for this. He hasn't won it yet. Like, what am I missing here for Coach of the Year, and how Shanahan, if they win out, or hell, even if they lose to the Ravens and get the 1 seed, I still think wins the award. What am I missing in that?
Well, first of all, that was very thoughtful analysis. I'm not kidding. Like, that was actually a good analysis. And I agree with most of what you said about who's eligible and maybe who it's down to. I think there are a couple things that you're missing. Yeah. And it's not really like – so first thing is actually something you mentioned, which was it's the same as MVP. Like, you don't have a vote. So, like, you thought through the problem very carefully,
right,
and you've come to a conclusion basically about who you would vote for. Mm-hmm. That's, like, basically what you just did. You kind of went through all the candidates, and you figured out, like, what their pros and cons are, and you were like, well, wait a minute, but, like, Shannon, he's actually coming second twice, which is pretty crazy. Last year, I actually won a lot of money because I had Dable. The first year he came in second, he improved the team's record like 11 games, and he lost to John Harbaugh when the Ravens went 14-2, and Lamar Jackson won the MVP, and I lost a truckload of money. I had hit like 18-1, 20-1, 25, and then it like gets to the vote, and I'm like, I think I have like a 50-50 shot. They're like, congrats to John Harbaugh, and it's like, oh god, like, unbelievable. So I think, look, he's coming second. Everybody knows that he's probably the best coach, like, in terms of, again, because we're very late in the year, you just try to listen as much as possible. And I'll be honest, no one's talking about this like at all. And instead, they're talking about other coaches. They're talking about DeMeco Ryans. They're talking a lot this morning about Shane Steichen, which I totally agree with. I think he's the most likely winner. They're talking about Stefanski. I do think he's an interesting candidate because, just to like sidebar for a second, the Browns present with 2 other interesting award options at the end of the year that are not coach. So, like, I often think that voters try to reward teams like in that situation, but they don't have to give them like 3 awards. They could just give them 1. And it's kind of like, well, we acknowledged the Browns, like we did that. Like, Myles Garrett can definitely still win Defensive Player of the Year. he and Parsons and Watt are all very close in sacks, and I think everybody likes Garrett the most. So they can just give him that, and Stefanski doesn't have to win anything. And they'll be like, well, we got the Browns. Like, we covered that. And Joe Flacco can win Comeback Player of the Year, which I think is incredibly live today. Now he has to keep winning, but, like, it's an incredible narrative, and it'll close strong. So, like, Stefanski's a really good candidate. His problem is that, like, he doesn't have to win for the Browns to be acknowledged. Shane Steichen has to win. Here's this whole Coach of the Year thing. They don't have remotely close to anybody who would win any award.
Right.
Who would you even give an award? Like outstanding right guard? You know, like they don't even have a guy that you would vote for. That's the whole point. That's like, and to be fair, I'll throw one more name in the mix. I think Sean Payton is actually still alive for the award.
Stop. Don't do that.
I'm out.
Damn it, Ken.
I'm out. Get out of here.
Here's why this is okay. Well, let me ask you a question. It's just really like, because it's not, again, the voting is not held this morning.
I know.
The voting is held 3 weeks from now. They're going to close win-win-win. They play the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders the next 3 weeks. They're closing win-win-win. So, okay, if the Broncos are 10-7, they're 7-7 right now. Just again, you don't play it out right now. Play out the end. If they're 10-7 and they make the playoffs, you're really telling me he can't win? Really? He was a front runner for it almost 2 weeks ago. Why can't he go back to winning again?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't. I just you merely putting that in there in the atmosphere after what I just watched on Saturday with an embarrassing showing.
Who was I think you're hearing from somebody right now who was a Broncos plus 4.5 better on Saturday
Absolutely,
night.
I'll admit that. But also I watched that team.
Spot.
Yeah.
It was a horrible spot. The Lions had lost. They were play way better at home. It's one of those things. It snowballs sometimes. You know, it's like one of those things. So they're closing win-win-win. Like, it's happening. Like, it's just so okay. Like, maybe he doesn't win because someone else is also really good. The idea that he's out is hilarious. They're gonna be 10-7. Like, it's happening. It's just like, do you think if he's 10-7, he'll win? That's the question. It's not will he be there at the end. He's going to be there. And meanwhile, Steichen's going to play a coin flip game every single week. They play Houston the last week of the year. A lot of people think that's going to be for Coach of the Year. Anyway, the second thing that you're missing, just real quick about Shanahan, this award almost entirely is not about who the best coach is. It's about team improvement year over year.
Yeah.
And 95% of the winners all time improved their record 4 wins from the previous season. I think it was only 3 of the last 30 didn't do it, or 3 of the last 40, something like that. And so cool, Shanahan's awesome. They're great. They also won 13 games last season. So it's like why Sirianni won't win if they win a lot of games. Like, this was the expectation and you just met it. Whereas the expectation for the Colts, Steichen, the Texans, DeMeco Ryans, and the Broncos, Sean Payton, was to be bad. That was the expectation, especially the Colts and Texans. So when they're good, that's how you win.
And 2 of them are not in the playoffs. But let's keep giving them the award. Why reward the guy who's doing the best
disrespect to
job?
Bailey Zappi, just marking him up as an L. Come on, Ken.
6-point favorite. What do you want me to say?
I know. I'm just kidding.
It's a likely win. Yeah.
We're already against it because this is how it goes, and we love chatting with you. So before we let you go, any favorite bets for the weekend? I know it's a Monday, so I don't even know if we've done early peeks at the lines. But anything we like coming up in the next week?
Yeah, I haven't gone through everything yet, but I have a couple things I like.
You like anything tonight, by the way? We got a Monday Night Football game tonight.
Well, can you tell me who's playing?
Yeah, Eagles and Seahawks.
I think Mariota.
No. I mean,
quarterback. Yeah. Marcus Mariota won in Seattle last year, Ken. Huh?
I just and is Geno playing? We don't know the status of either starting quarterback.
Yeah,
it's well, what do you like? And then what's the play? It's I don't.
Come on,
I don't
Ken.
know tell me who's playing. Yeah, exactly. Now you see how stupid that question is. Now you say hey, we don't know who's playing quarterback for either team. What's the lie? It's great. Okay. On the Thursday night game, Saints Rams. This is one of the games I've looked at. I really like the over. It's 44.5 right now. The Saints are like Jekyll and Hyde when they play the Giants, the Panthers, the Patriots. The defense looks amazing. They run up the score. It's kind of a low-scoring game, and they just strangle them, basically. And when they play anything close to a good offense, the game completely opens up and gets nuts. Jags, Lions, just a couple examples the last few weeks of games that have gone like that. That's the Rams. That's how they like to play. So games obviously perfect, whether it's in LA, reasonable total. I like the over on Thursday night.
Okay, there you go. He's the host of You Better You Bet, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Kim Barkley. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Merry Christmas, Ken. Thanks for making adjustments to your schedule to hop on a Monday. We always love chatting with you. Have a great Christmas and New Year, and we'll talk to you next year.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy holidays, guys.
There you go. You too. Ken Barkley, good stuff as always from him. I asked him a question about Christmas presents, and we turned into a long rant about the MVP award.
We had. I mean, you threw it out. You shouldn't have because we're against it on the clock. But like, realistically, should have broke and been done with him after asking two questions. One of which
he went Bill Walton on us.
Was do you like Christmas?
Yeah, you a Christmas guy. I was starting easy. Lay up for Ken on Christmas time.
This is not a shot at Ken or the logic. It is utterly insane that the best coach in the sport is never going to win this award because he's being too good.
I know.
And we expect him to be good.
I also love how we just have moved on from the fact that Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft.
Like,
and we're just like,
not a big deal anymore.
He's an MVP candidate. It's like, whatever. It's the 49ers.
But let's look at Sean Payton and D'Amico, who are not in the playoffs. Let's do that.
All right. Well, we went a little long there. I got a couple of leftovers from college football that we have not talked about yet, including what are you guys going to do with all the money? Next on The Fan.
The Herd
Well, some big news came out on Friday, and I just pictured you two bozos wearing a green suit and a blue suit walking up a flight of stairs at a hotel, handing out cash to all the people who are helping carrying your bags.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
How's it feel to be $400 million richer? Look at you guys. The Supreme Court in Washington sided with the Pac-2, Oregon State and Washington State, and so you are now back in control of all of the assets, and you get to decide. You were the only voting members of the conference. You're the only remaining schools. I've argued all along that's probably how it should be. Everybody else left. You're the only ones left, so give them the purse strings. $400 million. Does that move anything for you at all, or are you just kind of like, are you still in the same mindset you were last week as a fan, which was not great?
My 18-year-olds can now get paid money from people that aren't me, and I will dictate my entire mood and attitude on how my 18-year-olds play and are paid.
How much you going to give Malik Murphy? Give him $1 million of that $400 million. You got $1 million to spend now.
If they land him, don't kid yourself. I'm going to assume he got a nice little payday to go to Corvallis, Oregon and play Mountain West football. This was big for him. I mean, and I don't want to get into the Twitter angle of this. I find it kind of just mildly annoying. It's this, I'm defending my side. I'm going to defend my side. I hate you. No, you hate me. And
it's pretty dumb.
It's kind of... But all the bylaws and all the ways they operated post USC UCLA, this was as big a no-brainer as there was to me. Sorry to all the departing 10 members. You cannot be sending out a schedule and in the same way tell us, well, we haven't completely told you what our plans are yet. There's a schedule right here.
We're playing Michigan State in September, but don't pay any attention to that.
I don't know what any of it means. It means they're fluid. They have cash. They can continue their programming funding the way that Barnes said, funding at a Power 5 level. That's great. It's good for them. I'm happy that the institutions got something out of this because they got shafted and railroaded out of major college football. And I will get to the chip audio at some point today. But what I would say is this at least holds you over. Now go find your next move, whether that's merging your conference with the Big 12, the ACC. I don't know what it is or who it is with, but this is the next step. This was great. I don't really have a whole lot to add in context. Yeah. You're funding the athletic department. You're not worried so much about TV revenue.
You got a couple of years now.
You get to buy a couple of years. That's the important part here, and you just hold tight, win your football games, see what happens with the playoff stuff, and try to find a conference to identify with or expand with.
What conference do you identify as now?
Please, not the Mountain West.
Don't be the
do
Mountain
what
West.
you can. Entice the Big 12. Get the ACC. Get together with these people and say, let's make West Coast hubs. We're here to help. Here's our bare bones network. And, oh, by the way, we've got some money. Do something. Just do not, for the life of you, do not fold this into being the Mountain West. That's not the move I want.
No.
I want Big 12 ACC.
Yeah, you want to play big boy football.
Yes, get back into major college football.
The angle that I find interesting here, I don't know what it means long-term for Oregon State, Washington State. I agree with the decision. They're the only remaining schools. Everybody else announced their intentions to leave. They want to try and rebuild the thing. This is how I always thought it should play out, and I have found the entire thing a little ludicrous, to be honest with you. What I find interesting, though, about it, and the ruling finally coming down and it being official, is I wonder how many schools that left the conference were banking financially on having these assets to help fund whatever move that they were making.
Washington, I know, is one of them because they basically, their case was, we don't have the funds for the transition.
No.
Arizona.
Cal is basically bankrupt athletically.
Arizona, I think, has sold, or they've put their athletic department on a website for you to bid on if you have enough millions of dollars because they have to cut everybody.
There was reporting, I want to say Wilner had it or somebody, that basically the two schools, and I'm paraphrasing here because there was a lot, I was doing a lot this weekend, but I believe I read that the two schools went to the 10 and were like, hey, can we just let's sit down at some point in October. We're going to give you your money for 2023, 2024. You're going to get your payment, but we're going to take some of it because we have all these liabilities and these lawsuits and this. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we have to pay for as the remaining members of the conference. So let's sit down and negotiate. We want to get $5 million, $4 million, $6 million. How much is it going to take per school? And the 10 schools were like, nah, dude, we're going to let this thing play out in the courts because they thought that they were going to win. And I don't know. That to me is interesting. I don't think any school is necessarily going to put their tail between their legs and come back. But if I were Cal and Stanford, I would. The ACC is not on good ground.
They're not going to give you any revenue.
You're not. I mean, yeah, you're taking a reduced share of already a reduced share.
You're already playing these two Pac-2 schools anyway.
Exactly. Cal's got a home game against Oregon State next year. You got like the ACC is going to lose Florida State, Miami, Clemson at some point next year, 5 years. At some point, that conference will crumble. They're next on the chopping block
for sure.
And so it's one of those like can we do a take back on that one? Like you guys come back to the West Coast, the Big 12 schools, whatever. You got a better TV deal. You want to go play in that conference, basketball conference, like that's fine. But Cal and Stanford are the two that it never made sense. And financially, I wonder how many schools are just doing a big gulp this weekend of saying, "Oh God, how are we going to afford this?"
We have the Chip audio. I know you want to get to that. What I would add, and we'll get to this cut by Chip. I kind of rolled my eyes at it because I'm not saying he's wrong. I thought he was right on almost everything.
Yes.
What I roll my eyes at is everybody in America that has a podcast, a radio show, or a TV show has floated the exact scenario and ideas that he threw out. And again, this isn't to poo-poo Chip Kelly. We finally got a coach just being out and open on this stuff. Everybody around the sport's been saying this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
And not one person in the sport had the stones to step in and say, let's stop. Let's put a pause in this. The minute USC and UCLA wanted to go to the Big Ten, it should have been voted on by the 5 conference commissioners. Is this good for us?
Yes.
As a sport. Oklahoma, Texas going to the SEC. Should have been voted on. Is this good for the sport? Everybody's telling you no, and yet here they go making all these grand moves, and it pisses me off because I don't think all of these schools would have left, but not one person had the huevos to step in and say, stop. Let's stop.
Hold on.
And not privately. I'm talking publicly because that's where the pressure would have been applied or should have been applied. Privately, everybody was a coward and turned their backs and said, okay, do it. And they went, what's happening here? I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Make sure you give Oregon all their money for this year, okay? I want all my money, please.
You have a booster. We are keeping your money. Goodbye, sir. Good day, sir.
Let's get to the Chip Kelly audio because he did talk about this. They played a bowl game this weekend. I believe they won. Did UCLA win?
Did you watch that game?
No, I was working Saturday.
I didn't
Did
watch
they win?
any bowl games.
There were bowl games.
They won. I know that.
Okay, that's good. Cal laid an egg. Texas Tech is good again. Who saw that coming? Let's play the Chip Kelly audio next on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Make your holiday extra merry with a 28-day dry-aged rib roast from the best neighborhood butcher shop in town. Online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan. 4 teams have clinched spots in the NFL playoffs after Sunday. The 49ers winning a second straight NFC West division title with a blowout of the Cardinals 45-29. They are currently the top seed in the NFC. Cowboys and Eagles both clinching their spots due to other teams losing on Sunday. It certainly wasn't because of Dallas's performance in Buffalo. They get run over by the Bills. James Cook, 179 yards and 2 scores, 31-10 Buffalo. Philly is in Seattle tonight, wondering if Jalen Hurts is feeling better. He's been battling an illness all week, has not practiced. Meanwhile, Geno Smith, questionable with his troublesome groin. It's a 5:15 kickoff right here on The Fan. Our pregame coverage starts at 3 following Danny and Dusty. Eagles currently 3.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. Blazers, big second half comeback. Anthony Simons, all 24 of his after halftime, but they come up just short against the Warriors, 118-114. Klay Thompson turning back the clock, had 28 points, including 5 threes. Portland will host the Phoenix Suns Tuesday night. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
One number does it all for contests and The Fan.
Text at the Vancouver Ford text line. Do you think Oregon State, Washington State go for the short-term gain at the expense of potential long-term loss by trying to withhold the revenue from the current season? Personally, I can't imagine that $70 to $80 million is worth burning so many bridges long-term. Like, there's not going to do that. You're going to have to sit down and negotiate how much does each school have to kick back for the liabilities that they owe that they're going to have to pay off. Like, that's a negotiation that will happen. The other 10 schools are not going to get their full share for this year because of that reason. Mm-hmm. They're not going to withhold all the money from the departing schools. No. Like, they're just not. It's not. That would be dumb for them to do. They've never shown their intentions to do that. That's not going to happen. But they do need to come to an agreement on how much each school has to kick back from the 23-24 revenue to pay for those liabilities. I always love when coaches are honest and upfront. It's funny how sometimes other coaches have done this in the past and we just laugh it off, and then another one does it. It's like, yeah, preach, man. Like Mike Leach kind of did this for years. Yes. But because he was a wacky pirate, it was like, oh, Mike, you're so funny. Talk about mascot fights. And nobody really took him seriously. Well, UCLA played. They won their game this weekend. Congratulations to the whatever bowl they won against Boise State Bowl. That was the LA Bowl?
I think.
Sure. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
they won. Okay.
They came back in that game.
Was it the Gronk LA Bowl? Is this the one that he sponsored?
I think it's Gronk. It used to be Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Gronk was the host. I think there was an actual company that was the title sponsor.
Okay.
But yeah, Gronk served as the host.
Okay.
Well, for that company paying six figures to have nobody know who they are. What a good way to spend your money.
I was working Saturday night, so I didn't see any of this. And Chip Kelly after the game was just asked about, hey, the Pac-12's dead, and you're going to the Big Ten now. It's all over. And he was asked about the future of the sport, and here's what he had to say.
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power 5, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of 5, and we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams, and then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of 5 and Power 5, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You can do a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing. The players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty.
I mean, I love the idea. I love the thought behind it. I'm always for, evolving the sport and how could it look better, and I think most people would agree with it. The tough part for what he's arguing is you want revenue sharing at the highest level of the sport, not to the players. I think most people agree the players deserve a piece of the pie, but from school to school. And that's just where you're going to get pushback from everybody. I think it's one of the reasons that USC wanted to leave the conference to begin with. They looked at it for years and said, why is Washington State making the same amount of money that we do when we're big bad USC? We bring the eyeballs to the conference. We're the face of the Pac-12. Why is this not tiered out to where the more you play on national TV, you make X amount? Like, I love the idea. I wish that's the way that it could work, but you're never going to get these big-time schools to say, yes, all of us should make the same amount, whether you're in the Mountain West or the SEC.
Well, the SEC is certainly not going to say, yeah, we'll share the same amount as the ACC or Pac-12 schools.
No.
That was never realistic.
No.
The problem was they had 5 different commissioners who didn't operate on a universal way of deciding things.
We had an alliance with the Big Ten, and then they took USC and UCLA.
Yeah, the alliance. That didn't go well. This is a totally reasonable, fine argument. I would argue every media member with a platform in some capacity has basically argued the exact same thing.
Yep.
But Chip Kelly's Chip Kelly, and us or somebody doing a podcast in Virginia doesn't quite get the same play as Chip Kelly doing it. Too little, too late.
Feels that way, doesn't it?
Well, dude, you're not going to get people to revert back to an older system and then like say, let's share all the monies.
No.
You know, I haven't. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to give you the play-by-play or tell you I've watched every second and every. But I flipping around, seeing quite a bit of this FCS playoff.
Mm-hmm. I have too. I watched a little bit of the games on Friday night. There was a couple of games going on,
and I am admittedly going to tell you I'm a little jealous of Montana's fan base. They know who they are. They know where their school is, and
nobody's poaching your roster because you're not. Not a lot of players go from that level to the higher level.
Nope. And if you lose your best player, you already won the championship in the FCS. So thank you for your service. Good luck on the FBS level. It seemed like a group of happy people. Hey, we're in the FCS. We play a 16 or 30 or whatever the hell it is playoff, and we get to go to home field, and we get to go to all these venues, and North Dakota State and Montana or Furman or whoever the hell. They just seem happy. And what I see on social media and then like what you see and how it plays out, it feels like the sport that is the second most popular in America also has way more fan bases unhappy and miserable than happy and delighted.
Totally. It's when you watch FCS football in the playoffs, it's college football as it was intended to be. It hasn't been corrupted by big business. It's always been the funniest thing to me whenever we argue postseason formats at the highest level of college football. And when you look down one level, you're like, they've been doing this forever and it works great. Their fans love it. They don't have stupid bowl games that nobody watches. It's a tournament every December, 30-something teams make it or whatever, and you play every week until you get a national champion. There's home field advantages, so fans don't have to spend thousands of dollars to fly to New Orleans for a bowl game or to Texas or to Vegas, wherever they want to go. Hey, we're the higher seed. We're going to host this game. You come to our town.
Yes.
Our fans can go to the game. We don't have to fly. It's football as it was intended to be played, and I have had a lot of fun watching the FCS playoff.
Furman's in South Carolina. Didn't hear and read a whole lot about how how much it costs to fly to Montana. They just go play the game, and I don't know, man. It sounds so hokey and stupid and Disney, but like it just feels like college football is growing, but also growing in misery for a lot of fan bases. Nobody's happy about anything.
I would argue it's growing in spite of itself. Like it's not doing anything necessarily right. In fact, I would argue college football has largely screwed up every major decision, but it's growing because we as a country, we love football. Football is our king. It is our God. It is our religion.
Yeah.
And every chance we get to watch it, we're going to watch it. And so college football, the products are great. The pageantry is great. All that, but then you get this conference alignment and NIL and the transfer portal and the 14 playoff to a BCS system to a 12-team playoff. Like they never get anything right, but in spite of it, we still love the sport and we watch every week.
I mean, Alabama's in the playoff. They bumped an undefeated team and their fans were miserable probably the whole way after that first loss.
Yes.
Go through conferences and you pinpoint yourself. You don't have to take my opinion. Go through conferences and you tell me how many schools you would label. That fan base is probably okay and happy with who they are.
Even Oregon fans freaking out right now because they only got like one guy in the portal so
and they
far.
Can't be Washington.
Where's everybody else? Why haven't we signed any other players?
Right,
Everybody's miserable, man.
Everybody's miserable.
All right, we'll get you set for your day in sports. There's a Seahawk Monday Night Football game on the Fan tonight. There's a random bowl game, and wrap it up for you next on the Fan.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, it's my theme song. Welcome back in. 8:50. People are asking, and I will take this moment to acknowledge it. You were not in duck gear because you did not have enough duck gear.
No, I did not gather. I had a very busy weekend.
Yeah, you had a lot going on.
I think everybody has, and I will pay this off tomorrow.
Yes.
It's going to happen tomorrow. I'm doing face paint. I'm doing the duck gear. It's all going to be paid tomorrow. I know people were wondering if I was going to do that today.
Yeah, give us an extra day, you know?
Give me that. I need that extra day.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I'll pay it off.
I went to the duck store on Friday. I was doing some Christmas shopping, and so I got you some stickers and a little necklace.
That's actually really, I appreciate it. I needed that kind of stuff.
I was looking around. I was like, I need just tiny stuff. I'm not going to buy like a shirt. And I can bring anything you need in tomorrow. Just let me know if you need a jersey or anything. Yeah,
yes.
So I got you some accessories for tomorrow. So that'll be fun.
All right. So
what do we got here?
I got you guys both gifts. There are 2 gifts that are thrift store finds that I have found this year that made me think of both of you.
All right.
You don't have to even use them. I know how people perceive thrift store stuff. That's okay.
Look at you, Macklemore.
Now, they're pretty easy to identify. Swag, yours is the smaller item in your box, and Dirt, yours is the top item in your box. So if we could unwrap the situation as I give you all my recycling.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the box.
So the first item.
That is beautiful.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Garth Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Canada.
Look at that.
We got a Canada mug.
My home and native land.
It's because he hates Canada.
Well, he no longer hates Canada.
I love
he's
Canada.
a fan of Canada.
I've always loved Canada.
Now, Swag, I know mugs are a bit more dicey. I've washed that twice, both with hand and dishwasher.
Oh, that's okay.
So it's been
We'll
vetted.
run it through the dishwasher again. It's quite all right. I appreciate it.
And I know that might not be something you rock a whole lot.
Oh, I'm going to wear the hell out of this shirt.
I found it, and I just laughed that somebody found the Oregon Garth Brooks Stadium stop.
There's 2 things that I love in life.
Yeah,
Oregon football and Garth Brooks.
That's what
That's
I thought.
about as sweet spot as you could possibly get for me.
Now, the real gift is the bigger gifts in your respective boxes if you want to bust those out.
Look at that. I like how I got some dog hair on this too. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry about
it's authentic.
that. That was on my bed, and
Look at that. Prohibition style. Look at that. Prohibition style.
That's a good bottle. I was told that was a very good bottle.
That's a very nice bottle.
Swag, I got you a very good bottle. Thank you for all your hard work this year. Even though we hate each other sometimes, I think it's great that we can end the year on a high. I know you guys get booze as easy gifts, but I tried to go higher end shelf stuff.
That's good stuff.
And not just run of the mill, cheap Evan Williams whiskey.
Well, I, in full disclosure, I'm not just saying this. I did buy you a Christmas present, but it is not here yet.
Okay.
So I'm waiting.
I am doing.
You don't have to give me anything. Yeah. No, I don't do this to make you feel bad.
No, but I know what I'm getting. It's just in the islands.
It better be like a coral reef condom or something.
Oh, that would be cool.
It's got to be something like that.
That'd be nice. One time today, because we didn't get one in. To the roof, Daddy! Oh, look at that!
I did get a Splash Daddy into
You got a Splash Daddy?
Yes.
I got a Roof Daddy into the Hawks broadcast on Saturday.
You did? I missed both of these.
Somebody tried to go top shelf with a goal. I said, look at that. He tried to be a Roof Daddy.
Yeah, T-Rob was in Splash Daddy mode.
Splash Daddy mode.
I'm good to hear. Great to hear it.
We have Monday Night Football on the fan tonight. I need a Eagles win for a 3-0 weekend in Sprague in the line.
Good luck to you.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Might be Mariota against Drew Lock. Catch the fever.
I kind of like the over, but I got to stop betting overs because I'm never hitting these over bets.
Start betting the unders.
Yeah.
Swag, have a great time in Hawaii.
Hopefully we get some wins.
And we will see you next year. So Merry New Year.
Yes.
Merry New Year.
I will be back with Luke on Wednesday, the 27th. We'll have some live shows here next week.
There we go.
Swag was in here this morning trying to complain about having to go to Hawaii. Yeah, it's kind of raining.
I haven't packed yet.
I need Hawaiian shirts and shorts. And
shut up.
It's going to be 75 degrees.
All my Tommy Bahama gear's at the dry cleaner. I got to pick it up later today.
There you go. Good little show. If you missed it, go check the Service Patriots podcast. Thanks, everybody watching on YouTube. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. Love you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Calling us next. Listen to 1080 The Fan.